Okay, mic on. Cam on. I remembered everything this morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome, or good morning, Grace. If you're here just for the wrestling, I'm going to do a real quick, it might be a little bit longer than normal recap of Thorpe World. So if you're just here watching the VOD or whatever and you just want the wrestling, just fast forward to when the background starts and you'll be caught up. But so a couple days ago, Ruby's stalker, I guess, is how she refers to him, let people know about like her adult content work, her spicy content work, and sent links to the videos. I don't really know. I wasn't around. I wasn't like present in the moment when it happened, but either put her name out there, her worker name out there, or whatever. And ZXV made an audio recording of Ruby during one of the videos, and then Grace restreamed ZXV's channel playing that, and then that sparked a huge thing. Ruby has banned like supposedly everybody that's associated with Grace Thorpe, but there's not. There's tons of people still in her chat from Grace's channel. She banned me. I don't know why. I've never had a negative interaction with Ruby. I make positive videos about Ruby. I've reviewed her content here. I'm not really sure, other than because I run like a Grace Thorpe playlist that I apparently am I can't watch her streams anymore. But basically, she's going to sue everybody. Grace is her stream focused on a new shift in direction to like Ho logic. She's going to be breaking down like the the positives and negatives of how to navigate Ho logic. So anyway, there's tons of drama, and I just want to say this, like, to Ruby, like, I get that you're mad at Grace, but don't go after people who are completely unrelated just because we happen to be in Grace's chat. Look at how people behave in your chat. Like, I'm over it. Like, I wouldn't come back now. I mean, it's just so childish to ban me for no reason. But look at your own moderation team, Ruby. Your main moderator, Hurricane Paro, who is on your stream every single day that you stream, Hurricane Paro is there. He was in Grace Thorpe's Discord this morning begging people for like links to your content. So that's all I'm saying. Like, if you think you're locking your channel down, like, your own moderators are Team Grace. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got for Thorpe World. I'm not going to revisit the topic. I feel like it's everything that I need to say about it is said, and that's it. Memphis wrestling is great. It is. I'm ready now to I'm ready to move on to Memphis wrestling now. It's just so bizarre to me. Like, it's just so much needless drama, but whatever. All right, so this is Memphis wrestling. If for some reason there's an issue with it, which I hope there wouldn't be, but I'll try to come back up if there's an issue with the Memphis footage, and I can try Portland, but I think it should be okay. So this is from 1986. It's January 4th. It was taken from the Evansville, I'm assuming Evansville, Indiana, television broadcast. So this is January 4th, 1986, Memphis TV. Let me make sure I've got my volume right here. Okay. All right. Let's roll with this. I think the music is the only thing I'm worried about. You were 8 years old. We're pretty similar in age then. 1986, I would have been 7. 1986 is like the first year that I really like started to dial into wrestling. I started watching like, what was it, 86? Yeah, I think it was 86. Yeah, because I was 7. Yeah. I started watching, like, getting more into it instead of just watching it in the background. I also want to say, like, I'm not nearly as familiar with a lot of the Memphis talent and storylines that I am with some of the other territories, but that's kind of the point of watching this. I want to get, like, more familiar with it, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of big names here that work the other territories, obviously.
another day, and by golly, I'll tell you what, we got another great championship wrestling program ready to go for you. Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside, and we're ready to go with the goodie, Davey.
Oh, I tell you what, opening match today is going to have Rick Casey in here. Following that, we'll have Dutch Mantel. The Fantastics will be here. Freedom.
Oh, Big Dutch. Dirty Dutch is there.
Fighters. Jim Hellwig, Steve Borden will be.
Oh, Jim Hellwig. Wow, Ultimate Warrior.
Here a little bit later on, and we'll be looking at the King, Jerry Lawler. Superstar Bill Dundee will be here in a super.
Is that enough names, son of a gun? We got enough action coming up for you. We'll take it out right now. You stand by. San Antonio, Texas. Rick Casey will be in here in just a moment.
So we got Jerry Lawler, Dutch Mantel, Jim Hellwig. I'm interested to see what Jim Hellwig's deal is. I think I heard that right? He said Jim Hellwig, I think.
If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I don't want to go. If heaven...
You feel bad for Ruby? I do too. Like, I'm to be clear, I like Ruby. I like Ruby's content. I don't care that what she did in the past or what she's doing now. I don't. That's none of my business. Like, I really don't understand, other than like she sees me as connected to Grace, is why she would ban me, and that's kind of childish. Grace has never in any way asked me or tried to get like upset that I was covering somebody else, or you know what I mean, or in somebody else's chat. It just never happens. Hall of Fame lineup. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Dutch Mantel in these, because I haven't seen a whole lot of his like in-ring matches besides Smoky Mountain, and that was I think that was 94, I think, so almost 8 years after this.
It ain't a lot like Dixie. I just assume.
Look at this cool like these old promo videos they used to make, like music videos to promote the people coming in.
Stay home. I was one of the chosen few to be born in Alabama. I'm just like my daddy's son. I'm proud of who I am. I went through a lot of good women. Shook old Jim Beam's hand. If I never see the pearly gates, I would walk through the promised land. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I don't want to go. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I just as soon stay home. If they don't have a grand ole opry like they do in Tennessee, just send me to hell or New York City. It would be about the same to me. I got wild honey trees and crazy little weeds growing around my shack. These dusty roads ain't streets of gold, but I'm happy right where I'm at.
I'd be interested, like people who were in the area and like saw these promos at the time, like I wonder if this like actually got people like excited to see this guy coming in.
All these pretty little southern belles are a country boy's dream. They ain't got wings or halos, but they sure look good to me. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie.
I don't know why. There's just something about this guy. I can't put my finger on it. Like he's built like a wrestler. He's, I don't really have any real I mean, obviously I haven't heard him talk or anything, but there's just something about him. Like I don't believe in him. I don't see him as like, he doesn't come off as like a top guy to me for some reason.
I don't want to go. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I just as soon stay home. If they don't have a grand ole opry like they do down in Tennessee, just
What in the world is going on here?
send me to hell or New York City. It would be about the same to me. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie.
This is wild to me. This is really long too, right? They're gonna play the whole song.
I don't want to go. If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I just as soon stay home.
Huh? This is outrageous.
If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie.
In the ring right now, Rick Casey and the Invader.
I'll just be real. Rick Casey's gonna win this match. We know that, but like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling Rick Casey.
For a one-fall 15-minute time limit match.
Whoa, who's that? Jeez. Damn, bro.
Invader at 238 pounds out of parts unknown over on the left of your screen there, and out of San Antonio, Texas, at 226 pounds, here is Rick Casey. One fall 15-minute time limit match. Jerry Calhoun, the referee.
Oh.
Wonder how tall Rick Casey is. This guy looks huge.
Time, and Casey giving away just a little in size, maybe, Davey.
Yeah, he is in height and about 12
Maybe it was the angle.
pounds in weight, but Rick Casey really looked good the times we've seen him here on Championship Wrestling. Looking forward to a good opening match here.
I've been kind of
Yeah, I don't think there's quite as much of a difference as I thought, but man, that camera angle really sold this guy.
impressed with the fact that Rick does some major league gymnastics, can really get around in that ring, brother. That ability to come off that second rope and up on his feet with that backflip is something else, and he's used it to good advantage, too.
Referee stepped in, called for a break. They were back on the ropes. Casey backed away about 4 or 5 steps. Round behind, the Invader takes him down to the mat, trying to keep him there. Invader determined he's not going to be pinned. He gets over to the ropes and gets foot over the bottom rope. Good move for the Invader to get the hold broken.
One fall, 15 minutes in time is what this match is at. Rick
If I was there, I'd be booing Rick Casey.
Casey, toss, boy, he popped him over and down real good that time. Made a good move. The initial point there is who is going to be able to get their foot and hip out in front to where they can get that leverage, and Casey certainly controlled that action.
Invader, boy, he controlled Rick into the ropes, but Rick set coming off of there and ended up with the advantage on it. Here's the Invader down on the mat. Rick Casey with a headlock on him, tightening down just a little bit.
Dutch Mantel talked to me before the program today, and he said, I want it to be made clear that I am the #1 Texas Cowboy. So there's no question of getting him confused with anybody else who might be a cowboy from Texas.
Yeah, it's maybe somebody like is in the ring right now. Rick Casey got the headlock on the Invader.
He may try to convince everybody else of that. He's going to have a little harder time convincing Rick Casey of that.
You're right. Ooh, coming off the rope. Nice move with the shoulder. Rick Casey, drop kick, puts the Invader down to the mat.
I think you can definitely, at least I can, like, there's such a shift in style from when we watched Mid-South a couple weeks ago. Like, the entire, just like the flow of the matches it just seemed like there was they were like efficient matches, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I don't ever remember any match in Mid-South where I was like, oh, I wish they'd wrap this up. You know what I mean? I feel like this match is really going on for like a match that's clearly a squash match, I would think.
Casey doesn't waste a lot of motion, does he, Dave? He really makes it compact in his moves and all.
That's a very good point. Very efficient wrestler, and that is not a lot of wasted motion, which means, of course, he's not tiring himself out. And that's exactly what he's trying to do with these headlocks, and that is wear down the Invader. When he was standing a few minutes ago and had the headlock, I just happened to think that's not a good hold, really a percentage hold, I guess you would call it, for Rick Casey, because the Invader's so much taller than he is. But he's making it work so far. Invader. Well, he rolled the shoulders up. One of the dangers of that hole.
More fast-paced. Yeah, I think there was the pace was faster, and also, like, it seems like they were interacting with the crowd more in Mid-South. Like, there weren't a lot of rest holds like this, or if there were, like, you know, the guy was like it was a heel that had the hold and he was taunting the crowd to get the babyface to come back. I just feel like it could just be Rick Casey. I know Memphis is much slower and like a little more entertainment than sport sometimes, but like maybe this guy's just a complete charisma void.
Taking advantage of the situation. One of the things I noticed on Casey when he had that hold down there on the mat is how he had his head bent up in the air, not just down level with the mat, so he's putting that additional pressure on the neck and the vertebrae.
We're gonna get stuck watching a whole push of this guy over the course of these streams.
Both up and back on their feet. Rick Casey, used the forearm. Nothing wrong with that as far as legality goes. There it is again. Using the forearm, the Invader backed into the ropes, whipped across the ring. Upper arm by Rick Casey, and the Invader bites the dust. Casey has him down on the mat. 3 minutes, 15 seconds gone in this opening.
I mean, this guy just, I don't even know how to explain it. There's something about this guy that's just I just don't believe him. I just don't believe that we're in, what, 5 minutes in this headlock now.
Match of the day. One fall only for this one.
Like, this is what a heel should be doing. A baby face, I don't think, should be, like, grinding things down to a snail's pace.
Referee
Jerry Calhoun.
Yep.
I was simply repeating that Casey.
And, like, if you want to, I guess, make the argument that, oh, well, the Invader's a bigger guy, so he's got to wear him down. Just chop him down. You chop down a big guy, right? You work over the legs, the knees, you know. I just think this match is, like, super boring.
Over in the corner, takes the forearm 4 times, and he finally comes back, and that may not be a forearm. It looks like he may have those fists doubled up.
Yeah, I think so. Crowd getting into it a little bit, too. They want Rick Casey
Super kick.
to go to work on this guy. Casey signals for the last roundup.
Let that be proof for the people who say that they didn't used to slap their thighs in the old days. He didn't even hide it. He just slapped it right out in the open.
Bulldogs him across there, and the shoulders are down. Count is at 2 and 3.
Merciful, thank God.
3 minutes, 53 seconds. Rick Casey has the victory.
Very interesting as Casey turned it with that forearm right to the chin, I think was the turning point of it. The winner, Rick Casey, back in a moment. We're going to be back to the action here on Channel 7's Championship Wrestling coming up in just a moment. Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm looking at that Wednesday night action coming at the Coliseum. Cannot hardly.
I'm glad we got Rick Casey out of the way. I feel like the rest of the show should be good from here.
Believe it, my friend, we not only have a bunch of bouts. I mean, we're talking like 7 big bouts on a full card, but in addition to that, we have some super ones. Nature.
Ruby said she doesn't want to profit from any of it. Like, I don't have any issue, even if she did want to profit from it. Like, but why attack people that had nothing to do with any of it? You know what I mean? Like, why ban a bunch of people but then let Hurricane Pero and other people who were like talking about you and looking for your videos in Grace's Discord? Like, that's your moderation team. Like, I don't have any issues with Ruby doing any of this stuff. I just don't know why she got mad at everybody about it instead of mad at, like, specifically who was involved.
Boy, Buddy Landell will be back in town. Coco
Buddy Landell and Coco Beware? Oh, my God.
Where the fabulous ones will be going against the huge freedom fighters. The Fantastics will be going against the
Now, I don't know them. I don't know the freedom fighters.
sheep herders. You've got a pole bull
The sheep herders are the bushwhackers.
whip match where Rick Casey and Dutch Mantel not only going to be selling a little argument, maybe a little bragging rights, and then you've got a main event with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. It's the hair of Bill Dundee and Beverly Dundee against Lawler leaving town. We'll have more on that in a little bit later.
Now, that's a good card. That was a good sounding card. They got Rick Casey buried in a tag match. I like it.
Dutchman.
Let me tell these people in Evansville something. This is the
Okay, so if you're not familiar with, you might be familiar with him now because of his podcast, but Dutch Mantel is in the wrestling business forever. One of the sharpest minds, great booker, great eye for talent. He was in the WWE as Zeb Coulter, and he had that awesome thing where he had like a tea party type of gimmick, and he had a great promo where he would come out and be like, "I want every real American within the sound of my voice to place your hand on your heart and in a loud, clear voice say, 'We the people.'" Which is corny as hell, but I always thought it was really funny. Anyway, he came back to WWE. He booked in TNA for a while, and eventually he does a podcast that's pretty popular. So Dutch Mantel, super interesting guy. So hairy. This dude is so hairy. He's also in Smoky Mountain as a commentator and a wrestler and a manager, I think. But yeah, Dutch is a legend. And a guy that never really got, like, as a wrestler to be, like, focused on in a big promotion, but he's still a legend for sure.
biggest card that's been booked up there in that town, this town right here, in a long, long time. Now, people, I want you to
He's one of the real like pioneers of women's wrestling, actually, because he really pushed in TNA for their knockout division, which is what inspired the Divas, which eventually inspired, you know, the women's wrestling as it is today. So he deserves a lot of credit.
Listen closely to what I got to say, because when I speak the truth. Now, if any of you people think Rick Casey beat me last week, you're sadly mistaken, because he didn't beat me. He can never beat me, nor will he ever beat me. But he may have thought he got his hand raised in the air. Well, I'm going to tell you, I can nip that right in the bud, because, Casey, I'm going to whoop you like you stole a government mule, brother. I'm going to send you packing back to Texas, because I'm going to take shoe baby here. And I've never lost a bullwhip on a pole match, and we're going to put it on a big 10-foot pole. And whoever can go up that pole and come down with it can use it legally, and you people in Evansville know what I can do with it. And Casey, you're going to be leaving town, and I know somebody else is going to be leaving too, right, Bill?
That's right. Have you told him, Lancer, that Jerry Lawler...
All right, so this is Bill Dundee. In Memphis, a god, pretty much. His son, Jamie Dundee, is pretty infamous now for getting into, like, mischief and causing problems. He was a recurring character on Jerry Springer. But Bill Dundee, huge regional talent that was, like I said, pretty much god tier. He was right up there with Jerry Lawler. No, if you watch shoot interviews or wrestling podcasts, one thing you learn very quickly is that superstar Bill Dundee is the king of the rats. He got the most like women everywhere they went in that area, which I think is really funny because him and Ricky Morton, it's just they're interesting. I guess it's the 80s. It was like they had the 80s appeal.
Finally fixed Bill Dundee's match. He finally signed it, brother.
Yes, PG-13, yeah.
I've been talking to him. My lovely wife had to go put her head on the line. I had to...
Yeah, actually, saying that, I don't think he was ever as popular as his dad was, because his dad was so popular in Memphis. But, like, Jamie did make it to the big time. I mean, he wrestled in ECW, WWF. I don't know if he wrestled in WCW or not. But I know he didn't. He kind of crashed out of WWF as part of that Black Power group, Nation of Domination, which was a funny place to put Jamie Dundee.
To put my head on the line, and little Beverly made a little old interview to talk about you, Lawler.
We'll have it all later
that's
on.
Right. So
Billy.
you folks out there, you just sit and listen to a classy lady, Jack, tell you how she feels about Jerry Lawler, because he's going there, so that's a promise.
Well, we'll find that out Wednesday night.
There's Jim Jamison.
Like, can you imagine if you tuned in on Monday Night Raw and this guy was in the ring? Like, I'm not bagging on him at all. I like having a variety of different types of wrestlers. I think that's one reason the 80s and 90s were so fun, but it's just almost unthinkable to think that this guy is a professional wrestler, like given the direction the business has gone on, like that they have like a cookie cutter look unless you're really big. You have to be like really muscular or really rotund.
He weighs in at 216 pounds out of Memphis, Tennessee, and just climbing into the ring there out of Oil Trough, Texas, at 229 pounds, Dutch Mantel.
Oh my God, look at his back. Oh my God, he's from Oil Trough, Texas.
Oh, this match, one fall, 15-minute time limit. Jerry Calhoun, the referee.
Did you hear that statement from Mantel? He said, "Announce me as the #1 cowboy from Texas."
I'm sorry, I did not hear Dutch say that in time, unfortunately, to get that said on the introductions. I did hear on the way.
Like, not to be a nerd or anything, but you can immediately tell the difference of why Rick Casey sucks and why Dutch Mantel is good. He's not just doing holds. He's putting extra motions in to make sure that everyone in the crowd can see what he's doing. He's looking to the crowd. He's very animated. Like, it's just the other guy just looked like he was going through the motions, in my opinion, anyway.
Way in, Dutch Mantel told Jim Jamison he was going to take care of him in a little less than a minute. So we'll see. Mantel wasting.
He's like projecting personality, which makes all the difference in the world.
No time going to work on Jamison as he slams him over near the ropes. Across the ring, drops with the lower leg across the chest. Yeah, #1 cowboy. Dutch says he's out to prove it right here. He's the #1 cowboy around this territory. Snaps Jim Jamison down to the mat. Covers one. Whoa, 2 count. He picks him up with a hair. 45 seconds gone. I think don't know. Maybe he could have gotten a 3 count there. Maybe
What a heel move, pulling him up so he can punish his opponent even more.
not, but Dutch didn't find out. He picked Jamison up before the count started.
Well, Dutch's attitude gets in the way of his being a charming individual. There's no question, Davey, that Dutch is basically a very sound wrestler. He's got a lot of excellent moves, and he is quick. This son of a gun is really quick.
Hammers Jamison down to the mat. He caught him coming off the ropes with the upper arm. Now Dutch climbing the ropes, off the middle rope. Across the back, double forearm. Jim Jamison just driven down to the mat.
One-sided affair as the Dutchman up in the air, slam.
Reverse suplex. I remember on his podcast, James asked him one time like what his finishing move was, and he said looking up at the lights while the referee counted 3.
Slams Jamison down, picked him up, dumped him. Looks like he's got him. Yep. He decided to take it, and take it he did.
Minute 42 was the time.
1 minute 42 seconds. The official winner, Dutch Mantel. We got some more big action coming up. We've got 10.
Yes, the Fantastics. Hell yeah. Talk about 80s, man. The Fantastics are so 80s. Classics. Yeah, I mean, look at the difference between Dutch's match and Rick Casey's match. Completely different. Like, I thought the Dutch match was great. It did exactly what it needed to do. He dragged it out a little bit to build up, to build up heat. But otherwise, I mean, it's just completely different world. One was completely watchable and entertaining, and the other one was like you're checking your watch every 2 seconds.
Coming to see us.
There's just something like, there's an intangible quality to 80s art. I really think for 70s, 80s, and 90s, it's kind of true, but like the 80s especially just has like such a unique aura to the art from that time.
Ought to be an interesting tag match that we've got coming up here as the opponent's going to be the Spoiler and Pat Roy. Yeah.
You didn't have any message or anything from Thomas Sherry here at the TV station or anything, did you?
Oh, we sure have. How about you, Pat? I know you were concerned.
Yeah, I called it. I called Tom Christmas to see how he was doing, and the lady answered and hung up on him, you know. So I don't know, something's wrong.
No, we haven't had any message here, and he obviously hasn't had any message either.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said, I completely misunderstood. He said message here. We haven't gotten any message here. I thought he was saying that because the women were so into the Fantastics that they had a messy chair. I completely misunderstood.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that is a message there for it.
That's what it sounds like.
Fantastics as they work their way around through the crowd there saying hi, and they'll be ready to hop in the ring there and get it on. Ought to be a good one, as we said, because Pat Rose is going with Tommy. Okay, Dave, we're ready for the official introduction.
All right, one fall, 15-minute time.
I think the heels should come out and like kind of harass the guy in the wheelchair to build up heat, and then have the Fantastics come over and like run his wheelchair into one of them for the pin.
Time limit match here. Tag team action at a total of 484 pounds. Introducing from parts unknown, the Spoiler and his partner from Pensacola.
You could do stuff back then because the like liability and personal accountability stuff wasn't quite as strict as it is now.
Florida, Pat Rose going against him at a total of 449 pounds. From the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, Bobby Fulton, Tommy Rogers, the Fantastics. One fall, 15-minute time limit. Jerry Calhoun, the referee.
Okay, the jackets come off, and
If you've ever watched Smoky Mountain Wrestling, there's a guy named Ron Wright who was like an old school wrestler from that area. And in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in the 90s, he was in a wheelchair, and he was like a real big time heel, but he was like faking being in the wheelchair. And like, it was such a great storyline. Like all the good guys couldn't confront him on it because they didn't have enough proof, and they didn't want to like tip him out of the wheelchair without any proof. So it was like a really funny storyline.
And the Spoiler steps out. Pat Rose will be starting out as across the way. Let's see who it is. Tommy Rogers and Pat Rose. Bell time, and here we go.
And Ron Wright has like such a funny accent. He was like, "No, I'm just why are they pushing around an old man in a wheelchair?"
So, for those of you who may not have been here last week, Pat came by to just give us a little information that he had found a note.
You never watched Smoky Mountain? If you like this kind of wrestling, it's a little more updated, obviously, and has some but Shawn Michaels even has a match there, which I always think is really funny. But yeah, Smoky Mountain is definitely like the last promotion that had that territory feel. I think Memphis might have still been around, but I don't think they were doing a whole lot.
On the pillow where her head usually lays.
Yes.
Is that a country song? Or is that
I think it was,
okay.
yeah.
And Sherry Martel said she had gone to mellow out and clear her head in Houston, and Pat got thinking, hey, son of...
So Sherry Martel, Scary Sherry, comes into Memphis at some point, and Jim Cornette is her manager.
Oh, God.
That's where Pritchard
Tom
lives.
Pritchard took off for Christmas time, too, and he lives down in Houston, so Pat having a little concern. Last week, his mind wasn't with the match all the way, I can say that.
Yeah, I think somebody has an entire playlist, but I could be wrong. I know at one point I watched every episode on somebody's playlist on here.
Before long, he may just get meaner, that's all.
Ooh, that's true. Pat in there right now with Tommy Rogers. Tommy back on his feet now. Pat Rose able to keep him tied up. Had a hold of his ankle, and Tommy couldn't move much. Finally, he broke out of that. The crowd cheering for the Fantastics.
You think this is the same guy that was the Invader, just under a different outfit?
Tommy Rogers puts Pat Rose into the ropes. Pat Rose, size advantage, used the shoulder. He goes by. Tommy Rogers trying to set. He does, and he rolls him over. Down to the mat again, using the arm over to the corner of the tag. Made and Bobby Fulton coming in for the Fantastics.
Bobby wraps it up and snaps into a standing side headlock. Fulton and Rogers, couple of blazing son of a guns in that ring. They don't let up. They don't expect you to. And you see Bobby Fulton as Pat Rose gives him the leapfrog, and Fulton was rolling for a block on him.
I think that was a miss.
And Pat went over the top to hook him. Fulton just took him straight over and down. Has the wrist bent back.
A little misdirection there by Bobby Fulton. Pat Rose was expecting him to come off the rope straight up, and he came out blocking down around the ankles. That kind of threw the timing off for Pat Rose.
Good sweeping, though, by the commentary team.
Big shoulder. Rose.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think it's the guy in the green is the problem here. I don't know what happened there, but wow.
Over in the corner, and he looked up and saw Tommy Rogers and said, whoop, I'm getting out of here.
I'm on the wrong side of the ring. Now
he should just keep going. He should just go back to the locker room.
Back over his partner, the Spoiler, up on the apron. There's the referee tolling the count. He has a 10 count to get back in the ring after he gets out of there like that. Bobby Fulton and the Spoiler. Boy, he's a big guy. He'll weigh in at 265 pounds or so. Wrestles under the mask. Nice reversal. And Bobby Fulton takes him down to the mat. Spoiler with a right fist. Using the hair to put Bobby Fulton into the turnbuckles. Now he takes him back over close to his corner. The tag on Pat Rose. Rose in with a right fist.
He completely botches two simple moves. Then he just potatoed this guy. Did you see that stiff punch?
Cover by Pat Rose. Counts at 2. Fulton breaks out of it at the 2 count. Slam by Pat Rose. Off the ropes. Drops with the arm across the chest, makes the tag on the Spoiler. That time he did not go for the 3 count.
Is he just a fan that talked his way into the match?
The big Spoiler. Ooh, Fulton. Nice knee lift coming off the ropes. Great balance by Fulton. He's over to the corner. The tag on Tommy Rogers in there now against the Spoiler.
Rogers fires behind, goes for a sleeper hold. Now they got them all 4 in there. Fulton
Get Pat Rose out of the ring before he kills somebody.
with Pat Rose, and Tommy Rogers with a Spoiler slams them together. Big double drop kick on Pat Rose. Come back over to try to take care of the Spoiler, who's the official man. Up off the back of Fulton, the flying press 2.
Boy, that's a weird finisher. I'm just going to say it. That's a weird finisher. It looks weird. I don't understand it. The way that he pinned him looked weird. It's very strange to me.
Hey, he got it.
Some of the best teamwork you'll ever see right there between Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton. 4 minutes, 12 seconds the time.
The winners, the Fantastics over the Spoiler and Pat Rose. Back in a moment.
Like, watch this move. It's so bizarre.
Remind you that on Monday, January the 6th, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, there at the Convention Center at the Western Kentucky Fairgrounds, box office going to be open at 5 o'clock. And when I tell you all the stars are going to be there, believe me, they're all going to be right there in Hopkinsville. That's on Monday, January the 6th.
See, it used to be when people thought of January the 6th, they thought of the big event in Hopkinsville featuring all the top stars of the CWA.
Thursday, January the 9th, Madisonville, Kentucky at the Browning Springs Middle School. Again, we've got great championship wrestling. Boy, this card coming up Wednesday night.
In case you missed it, they just said that they were doing shows at a middle school. So these are some like interesting venues to be putting shows on at.
Right there in Evansville is something.
Smoky Mountain did the same thing, though. They ran like National Guard armories, high schools. They do like fundraisers for high schools, churches.
Else, Travis against Pat Rose, Yamamoto against Tony Faulk, Nature Boy Buddy Landell will be in, going against Tracy Smothers. Coco Ware will be facing
Tracy Smothers is gold. Oh man, Tracy Smothers is wild.
The Mega Maharishi, the fabulous ones against the huge freedom fighters, better known as the Blade Runners, as you will find out. The Fantastics against the Sheep Herders, and a pole bullwhip match with Rick Casey, Dutch Mantel, and finally, no time.
Okay, so that answers the question then of what Jim Hellwig is. He's here in the Blade Runners, which is what I figured would be the case, but I didn't know that they referred to him as Jim Hellwig while he was in the Blade Runners, which is his tag team with Sting.
No disqualification. There will be a winner. Lawler's leaving town against Dundee and his wife's hair.
He's like, if you can't beat me in the ring, you can shave my wife's head.
Coming into the ring right now, the Memphis Vice and the team of Tracy Smothers and Billy Travis ready for the official introductions.
All right, one fall, 15-minute time limit match, introducing at 460.
Now, at one point, which I'm sure is the case here, Tracy Smothers was just kind of like a white meat baby face, played up the Southern stuff. He, the wild-eyed Southern boy, kind of a cheesy good guy. But later on in his career, he became an insanely effective heel to the point of like almost causing riots. And this was in like the mid 2000s when like it was like kayfabe was over. But Tracy Smothers was such a good heel, he could still get people legitimately riled up and mad enough to at least give the atmosphere like that something might happen.
51 pounds out of Memphis, Tennessee, for the team of Big Lou Winston and Jerry Bryant, the Memphis Vice. And going against him at a total of 453 pounds from Hamden, Connecticut, Billy Travis, and from Springfield, Tennessee, Tracy Smothers. And I see I wasn't paying attention there. That's not Jerry Bryant with Big Lou Winston, so it's only half the Memphis Vice. That man is wrestling under a mask right there, and I really don't know what name he's using.
They don't even know who this guy is. Someone is in the ring that, like, I know that they literally know who it is, but I'm saying, like, in kayfabe, it's just funny that the announcers have no idea who this guy is.
But the man under the mask teamed with half of the Memphis Vice team, Big Lou Winston.
Okay, we're ready for the bell time. And here we go. Tracy Smothers starting out with Big Lou Winston, and the tallest of both teams represented in there, Smothers from Springfield, Tennessee.
I don't know in this case, but it seems like all the masked guys on this show are all jobbers, so I'm assuming it's probably true. I've read in a lot of books from like old school, like 60s, 70s, even 80s era, was that they would have like generic masks and like color coordinated outfits. And like if somebody no-showed or they had to do a like last minute fill-in, they could just have another one of the wrestlers, put on the suit as long as you didn't have any tattoos or whatever that were visible. Or like they would just have people work twice so that they could book somebody once but get like 6 matches instead of 4 or whatever. I think that's like pretty kind of an interesting thing. Like we might be seeing a masked wrestler get pinned in the ring that's like a top guy or whatever, like somebody that just had to go out and put the mask on.
Straight up in the air. Slams Lou down, and Lou down on the...
I'm smoking midnight runts, and it's really hitting harder than I am used to from it.
Side of the ring. Tracy's such a likable young man.
Yeah, he really is. Good size on him, young wrestler, and expect big things out of Tracy.
Also, back in this day, to a much greater extent than now, like winning and losing mattered. So, like the fans knew, who, you know what I mean? Like it mattered if a jobber got a surprise win over a known person, it was like a huge deal. So you don't really want to make people lose if you don't have to. So if you can just have somebody lose under a mask and then they never see that character again, then who cares? And in the meantime, it looks like, oh, this guy beat this big, tall, masked guy. Then at least it's something.
See Smothers as the years go along here. Ooh.
One of the things that I've heard some of the veterans talking to Tracy about is he's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive in the ring, and he's picking up some of it. There's a tag on Billy Travis, and Billy, hot properties out of
Gumbo Runs? I never heard of that.
Hamden, Connecticut. Boy, now he's aggressive. He's just one of these guys that naturally has that aggression.
There's a strain that I see come up in the dispensaries every once in a while, and I always want to get it, and I never do. It's Peking duck. I just think that sounds so cool, but whenever I get there, something always like keeps me from getting it, but eventually I'm going to smoke the Peking duck.
And you don't have to talk to Billy as he puts the chop on the big body slam over the top and down with the knee. Tag on Tracy.
Smothers back in, off the middle rope. Use that upper arm and takes the legs away from his opponent. Puts him down to the mat, arm up in a hammer position. The ropes will call for a break in the hole, though. Referee Jerry Calhoun stepped in between, backs Tracy Smothers away.
This guy looks like the Invader that we had in here earlier, but he's not that tall.
He's not near as big.
Oh, wow. They're like, oh, definitely, this guy's definitely not the Invader. He kind of looks like him, but trust us, the other guy, much taller, much taller. Freaking out, Courtney's lawyers filed a new motion to hold Ben in contempt. Oh, shit. When did that happen? Oh, it's in regard to the Monday case. Well, and Ruby's going to file the restraining order too. Or, well, she said she's going to file all the restraining orders too. Do you think Ben's in like a false state of false sense of security because of his recent legal win, when he has like a much more formidable challenge ahead?
As the Invader that was here in the opening match against.
And yes, I'm very high.
Rick Casey.
Lou Winston back in with Tracy Smothers. This was the starting tandem.
Yeah, Lou Winston telling the crowd, all right, got things going my way right here.
It was with Randy Hales, Dave, and Randy, we were doing a match with the Memphis Vice in there, and so Randy says, what are the two favorite words of Lou Winston? And I was stumped. I couldn't see exactly what he was talking about, and he said, shut up. And that, come to think of it, is true. He hollers that a lot.
All the time he's yelling that. You're right. Billy Travis in. Wraps up that left arm. A big Lou Winston. But Winston, well, it looked like he got him across the eyes. Using the fist, too. Tag made by Lou Winston. Knee to the midsection.
Now, I'm not familiar with Lou Winston at all, but I'm impressed with him as a worker. I think he's entertaining to watch. Ruby said she's filing her restraining orders today also. You don't know if they'll stick? Absolutely not. They will get laughed out of any court. She's in Discord interacting with these people constantly. She's the guy, the stalker guy is posting like the communications between him and Ruby in the Discord, and like Ruby had him up on her stream. She just had Ben on her stream a couple days ago. Like, there's no way, none of that, no. None of that's going to hold. None of that's going to stick.
Travis knocks him off his feet. It goes to the corner. The tag on Tracy Smothers.
The masked man down on the deck from that right hand of Tracy.
Oh, my God. Ben's lawyer is requesting to be... Nuh-uh. Are you being serious? His lawyer asked to be recused?
And there's a tag on Billy Travis. Woohoo! Shot to the midsection. He hopped him sunset flip style and got him. 1, 2, 3. So the winners will be Billy Travis, Tracy Smothers.
3 minutes, 33 seconds the time.
More action coming up in a moment.
And like also I realize that people are mad, but like I mean, I think it would be hard to get any of this stuff to stick because they all torment each other so much. But like going on and saying that like presenting things as fact that you can't back up as fact, like Ruby saying that video is Grace doing something with her dad when in actuality she's responding to a comment in the ZXV accused her of being a trans woman. So when she went to bed, she like feigned that she was jerking off. And like Ruby's presenting this video like it's a bombshell and that it's this definitive proof of whatever. And it's like, it's so ridiculous. Like people, that's an old stream. Tons of people have watched it. Tons of people have talked about it on stream. It's been discussed at length. Like presenting it as a fact of something that is damaging to somebody's reputation. Like while you're trying to sue them for the same thing, I don't see any court taking any of this seriously, to be honest.
Hey, we're about ready to go with more of the action, and this is going to be the King, Jerry Lawler, and Tony Faulk. Yes, Tony.
Lance Russell, I have something I want to say. You know, things haven't looked very good for me around here in the past.
Had some problems.
But I'm going to change all that real soon, right here today. I've been working out, and I feel good. And I'm going to beat Jerry Lawler right here today and make a name for myself on this TV. You watch.
Okay, Tony. I like to see a man with confidence, but
Ben has asked himself to step down since he has a like official lawyer now.
crazy's another thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we have. Right
Tony,
there
who has never won a match here,
never.
Last week, 2 shots at it.
Yeah, he lost three last week.
Three falls against 2 different opponents.
That's right. Well, he says he's going to beat the King today. Let's see. This will be a 1-fall, 15-minute time limit match. And
How you doing, Anand? Hey, am I having like a fever dream? Who accused you of being... Oh, Grid 1 did. Grid 1 accused you of being John Thorpe, right? Anand? I'm pretty sure.
Introducing from St. Louis, Missouri, a 200...
Did you notice too that I got Grid to switch hats so that we could verify that there is a physical transference of hats? And then as soon as he put on the fedora, Ben like roasted him for it the entire rest of that interview.
26 pounds, Tony Faulk. And going against him from Memphis, Tennessee at 234 pounds, the King, Jerry Lawler. 1-fall, 15-minute time limit match. Referee Jerry Calhoun.
Hoggy dog, folks.
Whenever Grid 1 comes on Thorpe TV, it's like just some like person with dementia is put into a supermarket. Like he just has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know who anybody is. He doesn't know any of the lore. He's just like popping in and because I guess he just wants to be featured on panels, but what an absolute mess. He doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. And he lied on camera. He said that the picture of Ben and Grace was a mistake and that it just happened because he thought it kind of looked like Grace. I have him clipped on video saying that he made that AI picture of Ben beating up Grace because he was mad at Grace and he wanted to take it out on her through the AI art. But last night, he was denying it. He's backing off of the anime AI art allegations, and I don't appreciate it. I told him to burn in hell, I think, at one point.
Seems like he's really ready to go. He rushes across.
You forgot about Tony Faulk. How could you forget Tony? I've never even heard of him. But apparently his gimmick is that he always loses.
Knocks the referee down, starts swinging away on the King, Jerry Lawler. Referee Jerry Calhoun is down on the deck as Faulk just ran over him. Lawler ducks under the clothesline, nails him with a right hand, picks him up, pile drives him down.
That looked good. That was a good pile driver.
Referee just now getting up. Count of 1, count of 2, count of 3.
I like how anybody in here who's just here for the wrestling is like, why are these people talking about this girl and her dad and lawsuits and restraining orders?
Oh, well, Tony, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. 24 seconds the time on it.
We really, in fact, never got the opening bell down there, but the official winner, Jerry the King Lawler.
I don't know what I did either. I've never had, let me emphasize this, I have never had a negative interaction with Ruby ever that I can remember. Like, ever. I didn't look up her videos. I wasn't in ZXV's chat. I've stayed completely out of that. I don't know what I did. And I got banned, Junk, at the worst possible time because all I've wanted for like a week now is an update on Fernando. And I got banned right when Fernando was on screen, so I couldn't ask my like follow-up questions. Hey, Doug, how's it going? Yeah, I saw Dan tagged me and then on Discord, and I thought that Hurricane Pero banned me. And then Dan tagged me and said that Ruby did it. So I went back and watched the clip, and she said that I got swept up because I was a Grace simp. Well, excuse me. I'm sorry that I'm a super fan of a YouTuber that you are also a super fan of. We are both fans of Grace, Ruby. Why would that upset you? You thought I said something over Grace's stream? I don't ever remember a time of like, other than way back. Do you remember when the Ava thing went down during ThorpeCon and like people were kind of messing with Ruby and calling her a snake? Like I did like the snake emoji at her back then, but that was like just fucking around. Like I've never had a bad interaction with her, so I don't think I've ever stirred up drama between her and Grace. If you remember, I tried to bring them together and get the domestic violence debate so we could get this like energy out in a positive way. Ruby sounds like Scary Sherry. Yeah, well, you should, yeah, I mean, it's not too far off. She has like a real high energy, like personality like Scary Sherry does. You haven't been banned, JF? We didn't get to see that when we watched all of the clips and stuff. They didn't have that clip. But man, he really planted him, and like Kaufman sold it great as like a guy who, it looked like a guy who didn't know how to take that move. Sir Burning Heart from Rocky IV. Yeah, well, he's like Jerry Lawler's is like the Memphis Rocky. I can't believe I'm getting high on the internet watching old Memphis wrestling talking about Zoomer drama. Oh man, Kamala. Like when I was a kid, Kamala was like a big heel, but no, you didn't really take him seriously. At least like the kids I knew, we never took him seriously. We always saw him as kind of goofy. But when he first came in Memphis, he was like a brutal, like real nasty heel, like just really, like he played up like the savagery of the character a lot, and like he was kind of like a goofy, almost kids character. I felt like when he got to WWE or WWF at the time. Oh, that's right. You're a Memphis resident. What would they call that? A Memphite? That doesn't sound right. A Memphite. Memphisite. Memphisian. Dude, look at Jerry Lawler. This is South to West. This is actually in and of itself a great 80s style montage, because Jerry Lawler is taking on like guys that keep getting bigger and bigger. He's like making his way through all these big powerful heels. Memphian. He's just beating the brakes off of Jimmy. Wow, Bruiser Brody. Is that Macho Man? Yeah. Dude, this is honestly like, if he's making a Batman reel, this is a really good rogues gallery. Like, these are some big names.
The King was the victor in that last one. I want to tell you folks who are not only interested in wrestling, but specifically interested in Jerry the King Lawler. There's a brand new video out that is available, as a matter of fact, and this one is not in the stores. It's one that you will be ordering. We're going to give you that address and all. You gotta be kidding me, Camden Smith. Are you trolling me that Pat Rose is your dad? Your first match is set? No way. It has all of the matches, not all of, obviously, but it has a great many of the matches of Jerry the King Lawler. An opportunity to pick it up and have it in your home, and you'll have a chance to sit there and enjoy many hours of entertainment watching and reliving the matches of Jerry the King Lawler. It is available with MasterCard or Visa. That's so cool. Like they had the little best VHS tape even in 1986. By simply calling or writing to J.K. Lawler Video, you'll have a chance to get it at post office. Yo, what? $29.99 plus $5.25 postage, and you got to wait 6 weeks to get it. It was rough, man. Box 3020. Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 08034. Allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. The total price, $29.95 plus $5.25 postage. You can call, as a matter of fact, right now, toll-free to 1-800-524-2507. The Jerry Lawler Video, 1-800-524-2507. Having said it, here he is, right here, Jerry the King Lawler, who has got, and we've seen a lot of memorable matches, but I got to tell you, he's got one coming up Monday night down at the Mid-South Coliseum. I just can't hardly believe that. First, congratulations on getting the belt right back around your waist, Jerry.
Well, thank you, Lance. I wanted to talk a little bit, before we talk about this Monday, I'd like to talk for just a minute about last Monday. You know, I came out here and I told the people what I was going to do. I told them I wasn't going to let anybody down, and this right here is proof of the fact that I didn't, brother. The only person that went down was Bill Dundee, and he is minus the Southern Heavyweight Championship. Thank you very much.
And Paula is not minus her hair, and she is very appreciative of that.
You better believe it.
I think wrestling was just benefited so much from the territory system. It's like now, if you, like every once in a while, you'll see a guy switch companies and it'll make a really big difference in their career. Like Cody Rhodes going back to WWE was like a huge shift. Like people that were not interested in him in AEW suddenly became huge. Now he's like, you know, one of the highest grossing world heavyweight champions ever. But like, what do you do? Like most of the people like, oh, Edge was done in WWE, so he went to AEW, and like nobody really cared. Like it didn't, back in these days, you would, like people would come in, go through a storyline, and then they would go away for like months or even years at a time. And then you had a constant rotation of talent around like a small core group. So just wrestling, the storytelling, I think, would have been better under that, because it's not the same people wrestling the same people constantly. Like now, there's really nothing you can do other than go to like Japan or I guess wrestle in Europe for a while and then come back to the United States. But I don't know. It's just such a different vibe when there were like over a dozen different regional markets that you could work in and like that could develop and share talent. It's just much more interesting that way to me.
I am too. I can guarantee you that. Now, we come to this week. You know, Dundee, immediately, he's begging for rematches. He went to Eddie Marlin. Right away, he said, I don't care any stipulation. I don't care what it is. You get Lawler to put that Southern title back on the line next week. So Eddie Marlin calls me and says, Dundee wants a rematch right away. I said, hey, how about letting him wait a while like he made me do? How about putting him at the bottom of the ladder? And he said, well, he'll go for any stipulation. And the first thing that came to my mind was, just exactly as I've done with Dundee in the past, I told Eddie Marlin, I said, how about a loser leave town match between Dundee and I? Because I've said before, I don't want to come out here and have to wrestle Dundee week in and week out in a long series of matches. You know, he's been gone for 2 years. He's come back. He's wreaked havoc. And I think he's been here long enough already. And I said, let's get rid of him.
All right.
But then, I think that I came up, you ever see how a little light bulb appears over somebody's head when they get a good idea? Well, I looked up and there was a light bulb because I thought I had a brilliant idea. I said, wait a minute, Eddie, before you approach him with that stipulation, I don't want a loser leave town match. At least I don't want that to be his end of the stipulation. You tell him that the only way he's going to get another shot at this belt is the same treatment that he gave to me. Not only does his hair have to be at stake, but he can go home, tell his wife that she's going to have to come down and put her hair at stake.
This is just so funny to me. Jerry Lawler's like, man, I hate this guy. I want rid of this guy no matter what. I'm tired of fighting him, but I don't want him to leave town. Instead of having this guy that I hate just leave town so I don't have to deal with him anymore, I want his wife to be bald. Like, it's such a weird stipulation.
Too, brother. That's the only way that the match is signed. And I want to tell you that I still am amazed that Dundee signed the contract. Now, it's some heavy stipulations on both sides, Lance. I realize that should I lose this match, it's a loser leave town match for me.
For you.
Not only would I lose the belt, but I wouldn't be able to wrestle here anymore. And it's not, also Eddie Marlin said there'd be no coming back under a mask or anything like that if you lose. I said, Eddie, I'm not even thinking about losing, brother. I was born and raised right here in Memphis, Tennessee. This is my home, the whole southern area, and I don't plan on going anywhere. I can assure you of that. I'm going to keep this belt, and Bill Dundee, you are going to step into that ring, you and your wife, and brother, they are going to put some clippers to their head, and it is not going to be just a haircut.
Oh, you're saying like that's how much he hates him, is that like it's more important for him to humiliate this guy and his wife than for him. He's willing to extend his own misery because he wants to inflict pain on Bill Dundee so much. That makes sense.
They are going to shave them both bald if he loses, Lance. I mean completely bald-headed. Not a haircut, but shaved heads. Now, Dundee, I want you to think back, and I want the people to think about this, because, you know, I sat down, and this is something that really played on my mind. I couldn't believe once before Dundee sat in the middle of the ring.
I'm just picturing Bill Dundee sitting at home, completely bald, reading a newspaper, and like his wife brings him in something to drink or something, and he sees her bald head, and he's like, Lawler!
And they shaved his head. And he had to go home, and he had to face his wife, and he had to look her in the eye, and he...
Do stipulations matter when scripted? Yes and no. I mean, you can always kind of cheap your way out of a stipulation, but typically, especially in Memphis, like they would honor them because people took it pretty seriously. So like it could mean getting your hair cut. It could mean like if a loser leaves town match though, it kind of ties into being a territory. Like because if you left Memphis, it wasn't a big deal because you could go to San Antonio or Dallas or Portland or, you know, wherever, New York, any of these other territories. And by the time like you had gone to 2 or 3 territories, a year would have passed. So you could come back and then it's like, oh, you know, my time is, my time limit's expired and I'm back now. But I think stipulations do matter, but it's pro wrestling. So you can always like, they can find like I don't know for sure that I don't feel like Jerry Lawler is going to leave Memphis unless he's injured or something like that and needs time off. But I do think that I could see Bill Dundee asking his wife to shave her head because wrestling people are just different people, especially back in this day. What's sad is Ruby's jumping from simp to simp for validation. Oh my God, the Pero stuff is unhinged.
He had to admit to her, and she had to admit that he was only number 2, that he was not the best man in that ring. And somehow, he convinced her to then put her hair at stake. He told her, he said, baby, I can do it. I know.
Wouldn't they talk to the writers already beforehand? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have to agree to the stipulations in the storyline. So, I mean, they just agree. Like Bill Dundee's like, hey, yeah, I'll let you cut my hair if you pay me an extra $1,000, or you can cut my wife's hair if you pay an extra. It was a business, but like, yeah, they would know who was going to lose the stipulation. But I guess I was approaching it from a thinking point of like, do stipulations matter? And I think they do because they are carried out sometimes. Like you do shave your head or have to kiss somebody's foot or something like that in a match, but it's consensual. You know what's going to happen.
Oh, I can do it the second time. Please come down there and put your hair at stake. I know I got my head shaved now. I know I look.
What's the deal with Mid-South? No, this is Memphis. I can't show Mid-South on here, unfortunately. What's the deal with King TL? I saw he was kicked out of Ruby's and then he was like having issues. I've got a 10-minute compilation of just wild King TL Discord voice messages that I'm gonna do a premiere for it. I think it's like worthy of a premiere.
Like an idiot. I know I'm bald as an onion, but put your hair at stake.
I love Mid-South though, Mike. It's one of my favorite territories.
And I'll come through. I'll win it for you. But you know what happened, Lance?
Where did Pat Rose's son go? Remember that guy that came in and said he was Pat Rose's son? If you really are Pat Rose's son, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you. I'm so high, and the idea that of all people to come into this chat as Pat Rose's son was just like, it was blowing my mind. Hopefully the King TL stuff is just kayfabe. I don't know. I have like a 10-minute compilation that's really wild, and then I have the back and forth between King TL and Edward, where Edward is like trying to feel out King TL as to whether this is a put on or a character or whatever. What was Lawler's Memphis territory called? I think it was called USWA at some point, maybe. This is actually considered championship wrestling out of Memphis, but I think it might be called CWA, but I don't know what the A stands for.
Yeah. Bill Dundee knows what happened, and all the people knows what happened. She came down, and I beat him again, and they put the clippers to her hair, and they both went home bald-headed about 4 or 5 years ago. And Dundee, I don't know how she stayed with you then, brother, because every morning for about 6 months you had to wake up, and you had to stare at each other looking like 2 cue balls. Well, I can assure you of this. It's going to happen again, brother, when you get in that ring with me. I'm going to beat you. They're going to shave both your heads. And I don't know.
He hates him so much that he wants to shave his wife's head again. Like, he's already shaved this guy's wife's head, but he's just determined to keep this lady bald.
I don't think you know if she can handle that twice, brother. So you're going to find out, I can guarantee you, when you get in the ring and go for this belt, because Dundee, you're coming out and your wife is coming out.
These are from, this is on the Trader Jack 641 YouTube account. These are, it says it's the Evansville, the like original Evansville broadcast versions of the shows.
Bald-headed, Lance.
Okay, Jerry, that's it, boy. What a heavy situation. When they meet, it's going to be there must be a winner. No time, no disqualification. There must be a winner. You are going to see it happen. Loser leave town for Lawler. Bill and Beverly Dundee's hair at stake when they get in that.
I know a little bit about Memphis just from podcasts and shoot interviews, but I haven't actually watched a lot of like full episodes before. So like I'm kind of behind on a lot of the regional characters and lore.
Ring facing each other. Back in a moment. All right, action still to go right here. We hope you'll stay right tuned. I was looking January the 6th. That's coming up at Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The 9th at Madisonville, Kentucky. But, brother, we got some action Wednesday night. Are you believing? You've just seen that huge battle that's going to be taking place between Lawler and Dundee. But it is not the only one. The sheep herders will be looking for a little revenge because a couple.
It's amazing all this vintage stuff is on YouTube. You've been watching old football games from the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I think it's really, I think YouTube gets like a terrible reputation, probably rightfully because of some of the ad related stuff. But as far as like content, it's crazy the stuff you can find on here. It's honestly mind blowing to me that we can just upload whatever we want to pretty much onto YouTube within the TOS, obviously. But like you can just upload a 12-hour non-tent stream every day if you want to, and they'll like host it. Like that's crazy. It's a little bit wild that like they pretty much will give you unlimited, content uploads.
Of gentlemen
I know there are literally like daily limits, but you know what I mean.
Who are very exciting to watch. The Fantastics got a win over them, and by golly, they're ready to come back to Evansville and do it again.
Well, Mr. Russell, I'll tell you one thing exciting when you're going up north, and even though it's cold, is going right there to Evansville and all those warm people out there because of.
You always hope Adrian Street pops up in the territories. Yeah. He's another guy that I haven't seen a lot of his in-ring stuff, but I remember back in the day in like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all the after mags that I would see pictures of him and Linda. And then I've kind of learned about him via Jim Cornette's podcast because he was really close with him.
Fantastic, get a warm feeling when we see all those gorgeous girls, because let me tell you this, Mr. Russell, I know you haven't been there in a while, but those girls keep getting prettier and prettier. Sheep herders, Johnny Boyd, you're no prettier, brother. And let me tell you, you run roughshod over a lot of people here, but the Fantastics aren't going to stand there and take it. We're going to put it back in your face. So with all them people saying USA, USA, we're going to come here, brother, and come out winners.
That's right, Bobby. We're proud Americans. You've been cutting down the great US of A. Well, we're going to come out and we're going to shut you up once and for all. But Bobby, after it's all over, we'd like to sit down and watch that last match because I know it's going to be a real barn burner.
You got that one. I'll tell you another barn burner is going to be that bullwhip on a pole when Rick Casey and Dutch Mantel tangle it up.
That's right. The last time we were there, I
Boo.
had my kind of match, which was...
If Rick Casey's son comes into the chat, then I'm going to know something's going on.
The Texas cowbell match, and Rick Casey won it. Everybody there seen it. Now we're going to come back and we're going to take a bullwhip and put it on top of a pole. The first man gets to it can use it. Yep. Right? Well, I can handle a bullwhip pretty good myself, Dutch Mantel. I'm not taking nothing away from you. I know you're tough, baby. But get ready, because Rick Casey's going to shimmy right on up that pole and get that bullwhip, Daddy, and he's going to tear your tail up.
And then that final match is going to have...
He's going to get that bull rope, and he's going to tear your tail up.
Bill and Beverly Dundee's hair at stake against Jerry Lawler leaving town. No time, no disqualification. Southern heavyweight title on the line, my friend. It will be an exciting night of action coming up Wednesday night right there in Evansville. You got to make your plans to be there.
That's one downside to the Territories era, being somebody watching it these decades later, is that the TV shows were essentially like commercials for these big house shows where they back then house shows were like the big shows. Like they would build up these little spot shows and then use the TV show to promote the one big show a month or every couple months. But then footage of that doesn't exist because they didn't want to give away the big matches on TV. So a lot of times they didn't even film it. So that kind of sucks because you're watching the TV show and it'll be like, oh yeah, this is it. It's going to be Dutch Mantel in the bull rope match. And then you never get to see it. And the next week it's like, oh, what a match. It was so brutal.
Dundee out and in the ring, and you hear the kind of reception that he gets from the crowd. I would have to add this too, Dave. Well-deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. He is ready to go in this single match here. From Memphis, Tennessee, at 203 pounds, introducing David Johnson. Going against him from Australia, at 214 pounds, the superstar Bill Dundee. Jerry Calhoun, the referee for this match.
Now remember, this guy right here, Bill Dundee, with the red, white, and blue tights on, this is the king of the rats, like of the biggest era of ring rats in wrestling, the 70s and 80s. Bill Dundee was the king of the rats. So no matter what people may say about him, you can never take that away from him.
One fall, 15 minutes. Dundee going against David Johnson, and David has got, like they say, slim and no chance of beating Dundee as far as I see it. I honest in fact, got to put it in the same category as Tony Faulk's chances of beating Jerry Lawler in that last match. Hey, no sooner said than there it is. It is done. Dundee, I think, was trying.
These Memphis women saw him beat this dude so fast. So, I mean, they were lining up for him. The stories are absolutely insane. Like the way that the other wrestlers from this era talk about Bill Dundee.
Trying to show up Lawler by taking him as quick as he could.
I think Pat Patterson was into a different type of rat than Bill Dundee.
He did. He took it in 16 seconds.
And the official winner, Bill Superstar Dundee.
See, there's a little sequence that would even stay in the indies like decades later. The little like throw the guy down, go for the pin, he kicks out, but you like throw him back down again. He got behind a lot of the ring rats. Oh my God, Pat Patterson. Do you remember? Did you? I guess you would have had to have seen the Vince McMahon docuseries. If you haven't seen it, it's actually really entertaining. Bruce Pritchard goes on like this huge rant about how Pat Patterson's a great guy. It's all made up. It's all nonsense. Vince told him that Pat Patterson was innocent. He's a great guy. Never did anything wrong. And then it immediately segues to Tony Atlas. And he's like, oh, Pat Patterson? Yeah, he grabbed my pecker. And he goes into this whole story about how Pat Patterson would grab his dick. And like the cut was so... It was so obvious they were trying to bury Bruce Pritchard for sticking up for Pat Patterson, but they just cut right into Tony Atlas and be like, yeah, he grabbed my pecker. I just thought it was such a bizarre edit. Bruce is a total ball washer. They got him a couple times of like really standing up for people and then intercutting something that just completely buries the person. You got sirens for a welcome. There's blood. But to be fair, just for context, like Tony Atlas basically said that Pat Patterson did grab his pecker, but that like more or less that was just part of being in that environment, that you knew that there were certain guys that were gonna act in certain ways, and it was just more or less you put up with it because that was the. I'm trying to think of, there's a word for it now that it's a word similar to ecosystem, corporate culture, I guess. Like that's the office culture, and you just kind of, it's part of it that there were people who would like, you know, he said like it wasn't a surprise to be in the shower and somebody would come up and stick the thumb up their ass. Like that's what Tony Atlas said, that like it happened to everybody, it happened all the time, but it was like it's something you just like accepted as part of being in. I don't know if he meant in the wrestling business or specifically in WWF at the time, but it was pretty wild.
Stay for your pain and your telephone been ringing while you're dancing in the rain. While boys wonder where is glory, where is all you angels? Now the big.
I feel like Bill Dundee, honestly, is just like a more respected honky-tonk man. He still seems like an Elvis impersonator, but he just doesn't play up the Elvis part, maybe because he's Australian, so he can't do the accent. But he just seems like a more socially acceptable honky-tonk man. Which, by the way, I found a great video I want to watch on here sometime of... It's literally somebody picks up the honky-tonk man, the 80s wrestler, at the airport and drives them to a show. And it's just like, it's kind of like IRL live stream content almost, because it's just honky-tonk man talking to the camera while they take this road trip and they go into a gas station and they go in to eat. And honky-tonk man is just such a ridiculous, like, hilarious character. I'll just say this openly. If I was there that night when he jumped Coco Beware like this, I would have hit the ring. I will hit the ring to help out the Birdman, Coco Beware. Oh yeah, the blue and red. You're talking about, he looks like he's stolen from Harley Race, the color combo. What I really respect about these videos is that they never end. Like they don't put any consideration in for the viewer. It's just we're gonna do the entire song, and we're just gonna keep showing clips, whether they're any good or not. Just keep them going. Just play the entire song. This is going to have more copyright claims than like a Grace karaoke stream.
The rough and tumble Aussie, Bill Superstar Dundee.
Okay, again, I'm being completely serious here. I'm not making this up. This guy got more pussy from groupies in the 70s and 80s than anybody else. More than Hogan, more than Flair, more than anybody. This guy, okay?
Who is coming up and one that we talk.
You know something? I can't wait till tomorrow. You know why? Because I get better looking every day.
Modesty is certainly not one of those things that overrides Bill's personality. That's for a fact. Bill, you and Beverly are going to have your hair up at stake when you climb in that ring with Jerry the King Lawler against the fact that he's going to have to leave town. No time, no disqualification, no stopping the match. There must be a winner. It's going to happen, friend. And your wife...
Must be the jacket and the mullet.
Wife Beverly, if you will hold up just a moment, had some words to say about it. Let's take a listen and see what she's got to say.
Oh, you think it was the accent, maybe, because he's from Australia?
Good-looking woman, Jack.
Jerry and Paula Lawler, I have a little message for you. The other night when Bill came home and asked me if I would put my hair up in a loser leave town match, which I've done once before, I had to think about it for a little while. But then I got to thinking about it and I thought, boy, sweet revenge at last. Now, Paula Lawler, I want to see if you can do what I did. because I'm a hell of a woman. I traveled all over this country living in motels out of suitcases. I lived in the swamps of Louisiana. I did the whole deal. Let's see what you can do. If I thought for 1 minute that Bill would lose this match, I would never go for this. But I have utmost confidence in my very pretty husband and my masculine husband that he can do.
This is great. Like, I think this is so much more entertaining and engaging than just like somebody yelling into a microphone. Like, this is so phony, but it's like so entertaining, and like it makes me care about the storyline.
He can beat you, Jerry Lawler. He's beat you many times before.
Like, I want to see this lady get her head shaved. So I'm like, I'm emotionally invested now.
This time, he's really going to beat you. And you're going to be gone. You're going to be trooping through all the swamps, etc. So I'll see you.
You will be bald. You will live in a swamp. What is she talking about? Is she writing Shrek in front of our very eyes?
Mr. and Mrs. Lawler at ringside.
Well, that's about the story of it.
She sounds like her pretty and masculine husband. It sounds like Grace introducing Ben. Would you like to speak with my very masculine 6'8" father?
What is that, a classy woman?
Well, she's got her hair up at stake along with yours.
That's right. Now, let me tell all you rednecks something. This ain't just a wrestling match.
Always love anybody calling people rednecks.
This goes back to 1975, Daddy, when Bill Superstar came here. And Jerry Lawler wasn't even here. He was off in Florida somewhere. George Barnes and I came in here, timed this whole area, and then somebody says, bring Jerry Lawler back. The two Aussies just beat everybody up. So back comes Lawler, puts that stupid crown on his head, and he struts out and says, here I am, folks, the king of the South. Wrong, Daddy. That burned me up then, and it burns me up now. Okay, you're right, Lawler, and I'm taking nothing off you, Daddy. You're as bad as they are. You just showed a tape, and you whooped every sucker that's working in New York today. You beat everybody that is wrestling in New York City today, from Hulk Hogan to Jimmy Hart. You whooped them all, Lawler, and that's right.
He's like, you've beaten up all the strong men, all the tough men, everybody from Hulk Hogan to Jimmy Hart. What a range from Hulk Hogan to Jimmy Hart.
Lawler-Dundee sat right there in the middle of the ring, and that barber shaved her head. And the week before that,
You think his spike mullet is the icing on the masculine cake? I love this. His energy is great.
I sat there and you shaved my head, Daddy. Well, I'm going to tell you something, Lawler. That burned me up from that day on, and I've dreamt about this day. I've dreamt about running you out of town, Lawler, and by God, the Dundees are going to do it. Because I don't like you, and I hope Paula comes down there and she climbs up into that ring, because she'll beat her brains out. I don't like you, Lawler. I don't like nothing you stand for. You're looking at the new king of the South, Daddy. And all you rednecks may not like it, but by God, as sure as my name is Bill Dunn.
See, I love this. It's corny, but it's so good. Like, eventually he just breaks down. He's like, I'm tired of justifying this with whatever. Look, I just hate this guy, and I'm gonna tear my clothes off because I hate this guy.
I'm gonna beat you, Lawler. I may be bleeding, I may be doing anything, but I'm gonna get the last 1, 2, 3, and you're gone, Lawler.
Well, that's what it's all about. If Dundee can do what he says, it's all over with for Lawler. He'll be leaving. But on the other hand, if Lawler comes out victorious, a ball, Bill and Beverly Dundee. Going to be a classic match. We're going to be back with more action in a moment.
Obviously, like, amazing, great interview. I got to get a drink. I'll be right back.
Whoa, we had several bouts in there today and some interesting situations in there. One thing I want to tell the folks, Dave, before we do a little quick recap on what happened today, and that is the Freedom Fighters, Hellwig and Borden, informed me, forget Freedom Fighters. They are now known as the Blade Runners. They have kind of changed their image. giving us that weird California look. We'll be seeing them, the Blade Runners.
All right. Well, today we saw Rick Casey come in here and defeat the Invader in a little under 4 minutes. He looked good in that match. It was Dutch Mantel over Jim.
I'm like legitimately excited to see the Blade Runners. Like, I think that's really cool that they happen to be on this first episode we're watching. From what Dutch says, they pretty much just fed guys to Lawler, yeah. And when he would get stale, they would turn him, and then when that got stale, like Bill Dundee would be on top for a little while, or Austin Idol, something like that, and then Lawler would eventually work his way back in.
Jamison, the fantastic.
I mean, if you were in here for that video, Mike, I mean, he would beat like a who's who. I mean, that was a pretty impressive lineup of people that he was laying out in that video.
Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers winning over Pat Rose and the Spoiler. It was Billy Travis and Tracy Smothers defeating Big Lou and his partner.
You were in Miami in the 80s, south to west. That's like if I were in the Matrix, like that's where I would be at. I would be in the 80s, like era of Miami, I think.
Possibly the Invader. We don't know for sure who his other opponent was. Never got his name. He wrestled under a mask.
This might be a little early for Jeff Jarrett, I think. I could be wrong, though.
Who was that masked man? Jerry Lawler then defeated Tony Faulk. It was Bill Dundee over David Johnson, and that's the way it stacked up today on Championship Wrestling.
I want to tell you, you look around, brother, because if you get a chance to go see that match when Lawler and Dundee get together with those stipulations, brother, you don't want to miss.
You grew up there. It was wild. Yeah, that's like I like 80s Detroit, too. For, like, all the, like, all that crazy stuff there, White Boy Rick, but I think 80s Miami is like ultimately like that's my vibe.
It's going to be a dandy and a half when those two guys clash. It is always classic. This will even be more fierce, you can bet on. Okay, David, we've run out of time. We're looking forward to seeing everybody next week, and until that time, for Dave Brown, Lance Russell saying bye-bye, everybody.
I mean, I think that was a pretty packed episode. Aside from the one, was it Mike Casey match? I think everything else was pretty good, pretty entertaining. I loved all the crazy music videos. I mean, we had, what was that guy's name? Somebody Rose. His son came in. Pat Rose's son came in. Miami Vice. Yes, I love that like entire aesthetic. You were 2 hours north of Detroit. All right, let's see here. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, all right, yeah. All right, so this is the next episode that picks up immediately after, like, is it the next in sequence? So we're at January 4th. Now we're January 11th, 1986. Oh, Big Time Wrestling, The Sheik. Uh-oh, did I do something here? What's going on?
Of course.
Today.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. I'm going to play this just because I think it's just kind of neat to note, but like they still aired this even though they had audio difficulties. Hey, Wrestling Plunge, appreciate it. Like, isn't that interesting? Well, I guess it was, they could be live. This would have been a live show, right? I completely forgot they were live. Wow. That's just neat. Audio difficulties. That's like when I get too high and I forget to unmute my microphone when I come back.
Here's Benny waiting for the action to get underway, and he didn't have to wait very long because here's the man from San Antonio, Rick Casey.
Boo this man.
David?
It's going to be a one-fall, 15-minute time limit match from Mississippi at 211 pounds. Over on the left there, that is Benny Traylor. And going against him from...
I'm 100% on Benny Traylor's side.
From San Antonio at 226 pounds, Rick Casey. This match one fall, 15-minute time limit. Jerry Calhoun is the referee.
Okay, by and large, we have seen Benny in tag matches as part of the Midnight Connection. That's right. And with Jerry Garman as his partner, he's in as a single today. And he's going against a very, very accomplished single wrestler in Rick Casey.
Rick Casey, boy, going to work on that. He's really putting the pressure on that shoulder and upper arm of Benny Traylor. Traylor goes to the ropes, steps outside. Rick Casey backs away. Both these guys, young wrestlers. Casey with the more experience, of course.
Benny was going to wind his arm up.
Great name, Benny Traylor. Yeah. I wonder if he's like Benny Tractor Trailer or something.
But his grip was lost for just a second.
Well, I will say this. It seems like Rick Casey is not as stiff as he was in the last match. He seemed real mechanical before, like he was just going through the motions. At least here he's putting like a little bit of... He seems a little bit livelier, but still pretty boring.
Casey took advantage of it just that quick. Really moved.
Boy, he snapped him down to that mat. Just quick snap. Traylor back on his feet quickly. Now he's in the air.
Ooh, yeah. Nice block, huh?
Yeah.
He was going to hip toss him in there, and Rick blocked him, picked him right up, dumped him down. Big elbow. Caught him with that upper arm and dumps Benny down. Good forearm also. Rick Casey keeping the pressure on.
Been all Rick Casey so far during the match. We're about a minute and a half into it. Referee was checking with Benny Traylor to see if the pressure was too much. He wanted to submit. Hey, nice move by Traylor, but hanging with him, Rick Casey, so he converted it to his advantage. He stayed right with him.
That's right. Traylor made a good move to get under and get that leverage point on Rick, but Rick held right with him on the arm, took him over and kept up till the ropes came about, and that calls for...
I just keep thinking he looks like a super inflated Mark Marrow. Or I keep also, I'm really high, so I'm like envisioning, Rick Casey like, I'm so high, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know.
For a break, here they are with a top wrist lock.
I'll remember in like 2 minutes.
Good move by Casey. Yes. Hooked his foot.
I'm thinking of him as the ultimate, like what would it look like if Rick Casey were the Ultimate Warrior? Because he's got the mullet and the mustache like he had when he was the Dingo Warrior. And he's a pretty ripped guy, but I just think he would be really interesting. Like, what if Rick Casey were the Ultimate Warrior?
Back behind his leg and took his feet out from under him.
Lower leg down to...
He also kind of looks like he looks like an even more ripped Leapin' Laney Poffo. This guy really confuses me visually, is I think the problem for me.
The back on Benny Traylor.
Got him right in the shoulder blade. That's of course legal the way he did that. Doesn't feel too good to have that knee put right in your shoulder.
Over on the ropes. There's a whip across. Boy, that shoulder butt, he blasted him down to the mat. Benny Traylor being picked up.
Okay, you might have to suspend your disbelief for this, but just try it for me. When the match starts back up again, imagine that Rick Casey is Tony Schiavone. Just look at him as if he's Tony Schiavone.
By an arm bar, Casey driven back into the corner into turnbuckles. I was going to say that should call for a break. Rick getting a little fired up because he had let his guard down just a second, and they took advantage of it, did Traylor.
Yeah, he got hit with a fist and upset him. He smashed him down to the mat there. Not really a clothesline. He just chopped him. Bulldog. That's probably going to wrap it up. Count as 1, 2, and 3. All right.
Hey, how's it going, Randy? You like that I called him Leapin' Lanny? Thank you, Russell Plunge. I appreciate it. He does look like a Tony Young. Yeah, he does. He has a really weird... I'm getting like a million different... I almost got like... remember when Scott Hall was like the Diamond Stud? I even got a little bit of... He's just a really... You know what? Maybe he's just like the default Skyrim character. This is how they build professional wrestlers. Rick Casey is like the default setting.
Another good move by Casey. Trader was close to the rope. He pulled that leg away from the rope so that he couldn't use that. So the win goes to Casey in 3:03.
Yowza. We've got more action coming up. We'll be looking at Nature Boy Buddy Landell in a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah, Buddy Landell.
Back in just a moment.
Wednesday night at the Evansville Coliseum, you will see something special. It will be a one-night tournament for the Southern
Is this EFD?
Tag team titles that are vacated, and we're looking forward to all this great action, including the opening round matches of Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett against Buddy Landell and Pat Rose. You will also see Coco Ware and Rick Casey against the Tough Sheepherders.
You like Lanny when you were a kid? He had a yeah. That Saturday night's main event match, fantastic, great storytelling. I love that match. I really like Lanny too. I always thought he was if he had a different look, or if there was just something, maybe if he was just missing something, I think he could have been a really great wrestler. I love watching his old matches on WWE Network and like or whatever it's called now, Peacock. Of like when he was just like basic leaping Lanny. I thought those were like really interesting matches. But I love the Saturday night's main event match. Randy Hale.
Former champions. You will then see the Blade Runners against Billy Travis and Tracy Smothers.
This guy just seems like he won a contest. Like this must be like really early on in his career.
And Dundee and Mantel against the Fantastics in the final first round match. 2 second round matches and the finals of the Southern Tag Team Championship Wednesday in Evansville. Right now we want to talk to Rick Casey, a very good partner.
The last thing I want to do is hear from Rick Casey.
Coco Ware.
That's right, Wednesday night in Evansville, Indiana, baby. It's going to be a wild night because the titles have been vacated and somebody's got to win them. Now I got Coco Ware as a partner. Everybody around here knows Coco Ware, and they know his background. They know what he's capable of doing. Now Coco Ware knows what Rick Casey's capable of doing, and he showed the people out here what he can do.
Shut up, Rick.
And we're going to go out there and fight these sheepherders in this particular night. And in sheepherders, I want to tell you one thing.
He almost had no yeah, exactly. Like it was just I just didn't care. Everything he did was like boring. He was a little bit better in the last match. It wasn't quite as mechanical, but yeah, there was just no enthusiasm. Kind of like like Luger sometimes early in his career. Like all the pieces were there, but like it just wasn't coming together.
Guys,
you need that passion for the business. Like Bill Dundee is out here. He knows that his ability to bang rats is based off of his in-ring performance. Like he's living it. It's not just a business to him. It's a lifestyle.
Sell us short because Coco Ware and Rick Casey won't sell you short. They got one thing.
He would be more interesting if he lost his shit. Yes, yeah. If you check out any of my other content, even my movie reviews, you'll find like that's my favorite type of content. Is just people losing their shit. How's it going, Agram? We're watching. This is January 11th, 1986, Memphis Wrestling. We're hearing from Rick Casey.
In mind, that's winning them belts now. You know, there's a lot of bigger teams and there's a lot of faster teams, but Coco Ware and Rick Casey's got one thing in mind, and that's winning those belts.
All right, Wednesday night in Evansville. Right now, here comes the Fantastics.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a big, exciting night for the Fantastics and the fans of Evansville because they get a chance to see this one-night tournament, Mr. Hills. Let me tell you one thing right now, fellas. There's a lot of things that's been happening around here, and there's a lot of tough tag teams and a lot of tough action. But let me say one thing right now. From 8 o'clock on, the action will be hot and heavy, and the Fantastics plan on doing one thing.
They're going to put the action on hot and heavy.
And at the end of that night is raising those belts real high and that thumbs up in the air and celebrating with all the people there in Evansville with their support. And
we're coming to Evansville. We're going to beat this other tag team. We're going to spit roast the Rats.
Tommy's 110%, my 110%. We're so excited about coming to Evansville, brother, and coming right out of that tournament.
You know, Mr. Hales, you know, Bobby and I have been training real hard for this tournament coming up because Bobby and myself come to this Mid-South area for those tag titles, and that's exactly...
Oh, no, the Challenger explosion. See, I never really saw the Fantastics because I lived in a WWF-only area. So I saw them in the magazines and stuff, but I didn't get to see them wrestle until way later on when, after WWE bought all the rights to that stuff and dumped it on the WWE. I think it was called back then WWE 24/7.
What we're going to do right there in Evansville, Indiana.
Is that Tom Zink? No. Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. Any Tom Zink is good, though.
Okay, we're going to be back in the ring here in just a moment. We've got Nature Boy Buddy Landell heading back into the ring here for the first time in quite some time. But right now, I want to get out here the Mid-America Heavyweight Champion, Coco Ware. Coco bringing his belt out, coming around the ring, and is a young man that I think maybe the most underrated champion we have around. Boy, he is some kind of tough nut. Coco, good to have you here
Hey, listen, this fella's one kind of tough nut.
today, partner.
Seen you since last
By golly, I think.
I'm a big fan of Coco Beware. Coco was one of my favorites when I was a kid. He was the Birdman. He had like a giant parrot. He wore these they looked like like goggles you would put on if you were snowboarding or skiing or something. But they were just these huge goggles. And then his finisher was called the Ghostbuster. It was just, I was such a huge fan of Coco Beware.
The absolute truth about it, too. Just talking about your Mid-America title here, and sometimes I think it's the most overlooked.
Yeah, Frankie.
Title in there, and you may be the most underrated because you have proved to everybody you can hold it.
Yeah, and as a kid, the Coco brain, I didn't even think about it, but going back and looking at it, his brain buster is crazy stiff.
You got it, you can hold it, but you got a big challenge coming up.
You're exactly right. You know, I'm very proud to have this Mid-America belt.
And also kind of interesting, if you listen to shoot interviews, he was actually a pretty legitimate tough guy, too. He got in a fight with, I want to say, Steve Kern. That was kind of legendary, but watching the show, I would have never thought that Coco Beware was a legitimate tough guy, but he's got a pretty good reputation.
The people's been good for...
I think he's a pastor now, or he was.
To me, and everybody has been really behind me ever since I defend this belt. And I want to say one thing that, I had Harley Race one time in my career. And, I was very nervous when I had Harley Race. Because Harley Race to me, he was like a world champion. And I was a little nervous when I defend this belt against Harley Race. And, and Harley Race, he did beat me because I was a little afraid then. But I'm not afraid of nobody now.
Boy, this, I love you, Coco, but this interview, you are not getting over, my man. You are digging a hole for yourself here.
And you see, Buddy Landell, he's an internet.
He's like, hey, listen, I had a match against Harley Race. I was scared to death of him. He beat me. I don't know why I told you that.
National star. He's been all over the world. Well, that's good and fine, Buddy Landell.
Well, I was a huge Hogan mark, too. And I remember I've talked about this on stream before, but out of all the times I felt betrayed, by something that happened in a storyline, in one of the Royal Rumbles, Hulk Hogan goes over to Coco Beware for no reason. There's tons of other people in the ring, and he just rakes him down the back, for no reason. It was so unnecessary. I was livid. I was so furious about it. That's one of the few times when he was a good guy that I, hated Hulk Hogan for, 5 minutes over it.
Now he want to come back in this area. Now he want...
Well, clearly longer, because I'm here upset about it 40 years later.
Want to make a name for himself, and he want to make a name of himself over the Birdman. Well, Buddy Landell, you won't be able to do it, baby, because you see,
I fought hard for this belt, and I'm not
I'm getting mad right now. I'm getting fired up just thinking about it.
gonna lose it at all. So, Buddy Landell, you might as well pick on somebody else's feathers because, baby, this feather don't pluck at all.
All right, Coco, good luck to you. That's going to be a whale of a match, and I certainly hope that I can be
That's going to be a whale of a match.
present when that one takes place. But Nature Boy Buddy Landell, with quite a national reputation, will be going after that Mid-America title held by a pretty tough guy himself. Well, we had the opportunity to discuss among ourselves about it. This is the first time in forever, I guess, really, that we have approached into a championship wrestling program without the king. That's right, Jerry Lawler.
Tito Santana was one of your favorites, and Ricky the fucking Dragon Steamboat. Yeah. I didn't get to see a lot of Ricky Steamboat other than that brief run he had in WWE and then or WWF when he had this Intercontinental title run. And then I think he came back when he had the actual physical Komodo dragon. So I didn't get to see him at his best until I was an adult and I saw like the matches in WCW and Georgia Championship Wrestling and stuff like that. But I liked Ricky. There was just something, he just needed that like personality. Tito, I mean, well, let me tell you something about Tito Santana. Okay, let's get personal for a minute. I liked Tito back in the day. I think he's one of the best overall wrestlers. Great promo, great charisma, great in the ring. But I would learn later on that he was something that in the business they call a fence builder, which is like when you go from town to town wrestling, there's always like the ring rats that the guys would hook up with. Well, he was infamous for building a fence around his rats. Like he would leave town, but he would want the girl, each of his rats in each of the town to be like faithful to him, right? So in one of the shoot interviews, Honky Tonk Man said that his advice to Tito Santana is you can't build a fence around the pussy. And I always thought that was a great quote. And forever when I think about Tito Santana, I think about him being a fence builder. I've seen the Flair Steamboat matches. Oh, yeah. Do I remember Nails? Yeah, the prison guy. Yeah, there's always like that rumor that he went into Vince's office and beat him up or like assaulted him or whatever. But I don't think there's ever been any like substantiated proof behind that.
In a loser leave town type of a situation, is not on Championship Wrestling.
Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man at Pontiac Silverdome. That's 3, Randy, but that's like one of the greatest Yeah, that's to me one of the greatest like pure wrestling matches ever. But Hogan Andre is my favorite match like of all time. But that's more of like sentimentality because of the storytelling. But like that Macho Man match, even now, like I think it holds up so well.
And will not be on. I'll tell you one thing though, that you can have the memories of some of the great.
I think like when I'm in the old folks home or whatever, and I'm like my life is flashing before my eyes. I think like the entirety of WrestleMania 3 is gonna play. Hopefully.
This matches that Jerry Lawler ever had by a special video cassette that takes a salute to some of wrestling's royalty, and this one is the Jerry Lawler video cassette. Here are some highlights of it.
And yes, this is Jerry Lawler singing a recorded album about him beating all of these people. Or it sounds like Lawler. It could be a friend of his or something, but it's a Lawler song about him beating all these people.
That's just some of the highlights of the great.
He called Tito a chicken. Tito seems like a really nice guy, but I think it's when you hear the shoot interviews, it's always like about like drugs and him trying to keep the rats locked down.
Action that you're going to be seeing, and it will be action on that video cassette. It's available now at $29.95 with $5.95 for postage and handling on it, the video cassette. And here is a shot of the box. It's called Jerry Lawler Wrestling Royalties Volume 1 Collector's Series, and it's quite an edition. You'll get it again by calling right now to 1-800-52.
My brain's just super weird on like like all the stuff that it remembers. It's just crazy how much bizarre, tiny little weird things I remember about pro wrestling.
42507. I know that was quick. Let me give you time to take it down. 1-800-524-2507. The Jerry Lawler video cassette, an opportunity for you to ask.
What if you, okay, so I'm trying to think like practically, right? Like you're watching the show and you're like, oh man, I really want that Jerry Lawler VHS tape. If you can't get to your pen and paper in time, you can't rewind, you can't pause, right? What would you do? Would you call the station and ask like the station for the information? That would probably be what you'd have to do, I think.
Add this to your collection. All right, we're ready to go to the ring. Already in there, David Haskins. We'll be...
It would really suck if you had to wait like a whole nother week to order it when you already have to wait 6 weeks for it to come in the mail.
Seeing the Nature Boy, Buddy Landell, his opponent.
Now, full disclosure and bias, I'm a huge Buddy Landell fan. I think this like knockoff Ric Flair gimmick that he does, I think it's super entertaining.
There he is. In all of his finery, Buddy Landell, the Nature Boy. Yeah, Buddy Landell stepping up onto the ring apron. One fall, 15-minute time limit match coming up. His opponent from Memphis, Tennessee at 235 pounds, David Haskins. And from Los Angeles, California at 229 pounds, the Nature Boy, Buddy Landell. One fall, 15-minute time limit. Referee, Jerry Calhoun.
Okay, Calhoun refereeing this bout between Buddy Landell, who's made quite a reputation for himself, going in.
Do you think the people in the crowd that used to go to these like week after week after week, you'd see the same people going to like, going to all these shows? Do you think they ever thought that like 40 years later, people would be like watching and analyzing? Or do you think that they just assumed like this was more or less disposable, content?
Against David Haskins, as Buddy takes time out to straighten down the hair and go over and chubby little boy type of gesture on the referee. I don't know what that's all about.
I don't either. Buddy Landell. Well, we hadn't seen him around here for some time. But now, okay, yeah, wants to shake hands with Haskins and then nailed him.
What a clown this guy is. Why would you trust Buddy Landell?
Back in the corner, Landell after it. Haskins reverses him into the turnbuckle. Rolls him down, coming off of there, goes for a drop kick. Landell backed up, and David Haskins missed the drop kick. Mistake. Landell has taken advantage and will continue to do so.
You always thought the nickname Nature Boy was dumb? Like, what do you live in the woods or really like camping and wrestling? You know what's sad is I read Nature Boy Buddy Rogers' book. And one of the reasons that I read it is because I wanted to finally like figure out what the deal was with that. And I honestly can't even remember. I read his book and I read the recent Ric Flair book, and I can't for the life of... Well, I know why Ric Flair took it to get the rub off of Buddy Rogers, but I don't know what the origin of the name is.
So out of the ring goes Haskins. He threw him through the ropes. Down on the floor, Landell. Wow.
Whenever I hear Nature Boy, I just assume they're a nudist, right? Like a naturalist or whatever. A lot of times they would bring in, youth church groups for studio audience, their kids. Yeah, they would do a lot of like giving tickets away to schools, and even like decent sized wrestling promotions back then would even do like fundraisers in those kind of situations.
He chopped him.
Weren't all the Mid-South matches at like the boys club or something? I want to say they were at the boys club.
Referee running Landell back up into the ring, but not.
Wasn't Landell a freebird? I don't think so, unless it was like part of like a temporary thing. He was pretty much just Buddy Landell, and then he did the Nature Boy ripoff. And according to even Ric Flair in shoot interviews, they were going to let Buddy Landell beat Ric Flair for the world title, and Buddy Landell just didn't show up for the show where he was supposed to beat him, or the show that was supposed to set up the match or whatever. He just got drunk and didn't show up, which is crazy.
Before he nailed Haskins with a whale of a chop down on the floor. David needs a turnabout to get this match into where he'll have an upset possibility with Landell, because Landell has been...
He gives an amazing promo in Smoky Mountain Wrestling that's really heartfelt, and he's honest about all the like mistakes that he's made and the problems that he's had, but like he recognizes now that this is like his last opportunity to be taken seriously, and like it's a really, really good promo. It just sucks because it's in Smoky Mountain, and like not as nearly as many people have seen it. Would probably enjoy seeing it.
Very fierce from the very opening bell. Drags him back through the ropes.
No, it never. Yeah, did not get a second chance.
Landell needed the midsection on David Haskins. Winds the arm up.
Landell forced him down to the mat. He's got an arm lock on him. Haskins finds himself in a position not being...
Grace kind of looks like right now with her hair like she could be Buddy Landell's daughter.
Able to move too much because of the hold that Landell has. Landell breaks the hold, grabs him by the hair, and just rubbing him into the mat there. Landell snaps him over. Haskins again in a position where he can't move much.
Really keeping everything tight on him.
Yeah, he is. Landell wearing him down, punishing him a bit at the same time, not going for the...
See, like he's giving him his rest hold, but he's like digging his hand into his ear, like he's making it clear, like that, at least giving us something to be entertained by during the rest hold.
For the 3 count. He hasn't had the shoulders pinned yet. 2 minutes, 18 seconds gone in this one. Haskins looking good a couple of times, but Buddy Landell taking command again very quickly each time Haskins makes a move. Right hand to the midsection, and there you see a perfect example of it as Landell grabbed him by the hair, rammed his head into the turnbuckle.
Thanks a lot.
Wow, standing drop kick. I'm kind of surprised. I was not expecting that.
A reverse drop kick he put on him.
Boy, and he was in tight. But Landell can do that. He is a good athlete. He always has been a good wrestler with a deficiency in the charm department.
But when you hit the drop kick that close in, boy, there's a lot of power when you extend those legs. Landell, that was a right fist. It looked like from this angle.
Referee calling for a break, and he broke it with a right fist. Hooks the arm again, drives Haskins' head down, and now picks him up so that he can bust a big knee into the midsection and body slam. Landell, a studied drop of that elbow. What's he going for? Figure 4?
Yep. Figure 4 leg.
Even hitting him with the figure 4. Wow.
Haskins had to give it up. Yeah. Boy, that figure 4 leg lock is just a hold that wrestlers cannot continue once the opponent gets you in it there. Submission hold virtually every time. Haskins had to give it up, and there the hands raised to Buddy Landell after 3 minutes, 44 seconds of championship wrestling action. So his return to championship wrestling is a victorious one.
Got it with a submission hold in the figure 4 leg lock, and he does it very, very well. Buddy Landell, the winner.
Wrong, Lance Russell. Not just a figure 4, the figure 4.
This guy's voice it's so goofy and it's so southern, but to me it's a great pro wrestling voice.
You know,
okay.
Just because that you're at the top of your field, just because that you were voted the top announcer in the wrestling world today, don't come out here and try to intimidate me.
Hey, I'm not trying to intimidate you, buddy. We saw you coming back. We've always admitted you're a good athlete, you're a good wrestler. We just said you lack a little in the charm department.
What can I say, okay?
What have you been doing? I know you've been making a name for yourself. Now you're coming back trying to take the Mid-America title away from Coco.
Coco Ware. I could talk all day about Coco Ware. Lance Russell, I've wrestled in every major city in the United States, never mind the United States, in the world. And every time that I capture a belt, a title, anything that I capture, they say, no, you're not at the top of the list. You got to prove yourself in Memphis, Tennessee. That's why I dropped everything in my career. Everybody saw the Nature Boy Buddy Landell at the top of the list in the wrestling world. I give all that up for one reason, for Memphis. To come here and prove myself, Lance Russell, just like you said, I got it all. What can I say, baby?
I wonder if he's back in Memphis, and the kind of the moral of the story here is that he's saying he was at the top. Maybe he made a mistake, he missed a booking, whatever. And so Memphis is where he had to go, to get a new start or whatever.
Well, there's no doubt about it that you have certainly made quite an international name for yourself. And your style of wrestling, while it may not charm all of the wrestling fans out there, it's won you a lot of matches, buddy. We will be seeing more of you, I am sure.
You know, Lance Russell, it's obvious that the women around the Memphis, Tennessee, Kentucky are starved for the sight of a real man, okay? What can I say? Let's be honest and truthful with each other, okay? Now, I got to say one thing, okay? Where's Jerry Lawler at right now? Unemployed, right or wrong?
He is out of
Thumbs
business
up to Bill
in this
Dundee.
area.
What can I say?
He's an unemployed rat. Put the fries in the bag, Jerry Lawler.
Hey, Buddy Landell, with some more of the Landell conversation. We'll see how well he is able to do it. We're going to take time out. Be back with more action in a moment.
Great interview, I think. I thought that was a great interview.
Evansville Coliseum, you will see a one-night tournament for the vacated AWA Southern Tag Team Championship. It will be absolutely a great night of action. Now, a special announcement, excited about it, just heard that a little change. Tojo Yamamoto's partner for this action will be Dirty Rhodes back in town. The cousin of American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, he'll team with Tojo against Buddy Nature Boy Landell and Pat Rose. Coco Ware and Rick Casey, that's a great team, against the Sheep Herders. Blade Runners against Billy Travis and Tracy Smothers. You will also see a first-round match that just won't quit. Former holders of the AWA Southern Tag Team Championship out to regain them, Bill Dundee and Dutch Mantel against the Fantastics. 2 second-round matches, and you will see the finals. The champions will be determined after the action in Evansville Wednesday night. The AWA Southern Tag Championship, the tournament takes place in Evansville Wednesday.
The Blade Runner stepping into the ring right now. This match is going to be a one-fall, 15-minute time limit match. Introducing first at a total of 419 pounds, both from Memphis, Tennessee, David Johnson and his partner, Jim Jamison. Going against him at a total of 545 pounds, wrestling out of California.
Okay, here we go. I took a piss break while Randy Hales was on screen. So this is what I was waiting for in the last episode. So here's Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, over here, and then Sting as the Blade Runners. So this is really interesting footage, at least to me. I think it's really crazy to see him this young and in this strange gimmick. They kind of look like a progressive rock band.
Yeah, Steve Borden and Jim Hellwig, the Blade Runner.
And they're going under their shoot names. That's even more interesting.
This match one fall, 15-minute time limit. Jerry Calhoun in between them right now, the referee.
Yowza, bell time, and here we go with Borden.
Look at these guys they've got him up against. Oh my God. This is like a mismatch, to say the least.
Starting out for the Blade Runners against David Johnson.
Like, imagine this guy getting in there against the Ultimate Warrior. It looks like Timothy Chalamet.
And just the pure physical difference between these two teams in itself is awesome. Borden fires Johnson across, catches him with that clothesline. Let me tell you, partner, woo, he rolls him back over and drops that elbow. When these guys hit you with a clothesline, hey, that one can finish you right then and there. That's how big these fellas are.
Oh, man. Woo. Yikes.
Oh, look at that.
Blade Runner's a
He completely followed through with that lariat. Oh, my God.
formidable team, and with their eye on the Southern Tag Team titles, which brings a question to mind, Lance. What about the Southern Tag belts? With Lawler having to leave, what is...
He threw him into the ropes and then just kicked him in the stomach. I have not seen that very often.
Well, it does present a problem, Dave. The Southern, I assume that Jamison popped into the ring. I assume that they're going to have a tournament because the AWA has designated the Mid-South area here as the home of the Southern Tag belts. Look at this. Press of Jamison by...
None of this looks right. None of this. This entire match, nothing looks like it's going as planned.
Hellwig and Johnson by Borden, and both of them dumped.
Sting threw that guy down on his shoulder.
Up down to the mat, a double pin, 1, 2, 3, and the winners, Steve Borden and Jim Hellwig, the huge Blade Runner.
Imagine, right? Okay, these two guys are clearly not making a living doing this or making much of a living doing this. They probably have like regular jobs. They come in and do this because they love wrestling and they're hoping to get a break. And the only thing between these people and being paralyzed or permanently injured in some way is a roided up cocaine monster that you've met an hour before the match. Like, that's crazy.
There's taking the victory over Jim Jamison and David Johnson. What was the time, Dave?
Time was 1:20.
Minute 20 seconds, and they put their bulk all over that doggone ring. So, once again, the Blade Runners proving the point, and it's unfortunate because I don't think everybody should get the idea that size alone is what determines who is going to be the best and the winner in there. Hellwig and Borden seem to be out to prove it.
Wrestling is so insane. Yeah, speaking of insane.
Son of a gun, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Steve Kern.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
So Steve Kern, you know, pretty much a legend. Another big 80s tag team guy. But he was also, if you remember him from WWF, he was Skinner. The guy who always had like the tobacco spilling out of his mouth. And he was dressed like a white trash Crocodile Dundee.
New Year to you, Lance, and to all the fans out there. I want to say Happy New Year from me and from Stan and from Jackie Fargo. You know, I took this opportunity to come down here because, you know, I've been looking around and I've been watching a lot of things, and it seems like that Bill Dundee is king on the mountain. Doesn't it seem like that to you?
Yes, I would say at the moment he's made it come true.
Well, you know, he came out here about 3 weeks ago, I believe it was, and he challenged Stan and I for the titles. He's challenged Jerry Lawler, and it's been a list of oncoming challenges to everybody, anybody that had anything that he could gain from. You know, but now it's time.
I bet Laughing Cedar is going to be upset about missing this stream with all the tight pants and Speedos.
For the role reversal. It's time for people to start coming looking for Bill Dundee. And you know, it was about 3 years ago, I was Bill Dundee's partner for a short time, and I realized what kind of guy he was. Then I worked into a situation where I got in a single match with Bill Dundee, and he had to leave the area. Well, now, Bill Dundee, you know, I think that you're
He had to leave the area.
Pretty good wrestler, because obviously you've got titles and you've got prestige now. But I'm out here for one thing, and that's one thing only, and that's to challenge you, Bill Dundee. I'm challenging you to any kind of match you want to come up with, any stipulations in any place. Because when you're the king of the mountain, somebody needs to knock you off the top of that mountain, and I'm going to be the one. Now, you know, a lot of people don't think Bill Dundee's yellow, but I think that he's a coward because he picks his spots. So, Bill Dundee, here's your challenge. Anytime.
I haven't seen very much Fargo footage, to be honest. I haven't really sought it out, but I haven't seen much. But Memphis is like one of the territories that I'm like the least familiar with.
Any place, any stipulations, and let's see you back out of that, Jack.
Can't be any more open than that. Good to see you, Steve, and we'll be looking for... The last time that you were mentioning that loser leave town thing, he was gone for 2 years. I might point that out, too. Steve Curran, good to see him back here. We'll take time out, be back in just a moment.
And then what was his tag team? It was him and Stan Lane, the Fabulous Ones? And they looked like Chippendales dancers. They had like the sparkly suspenders and the like glittery bow ties, the little like top hats, the bowler hats, I think, or bowler hats or top hats.
I used to be fat, 50 pounds fatter. There's a...
Well, what am I going to do now? You get that little brief bit of Keno, and then they just take it away from you, and it's gone into the void.
Referee Terry Calhoun, and there come the Fantastics, Tommy Rogers.
I mean, probably, like, if you'd count like 80s WWF, it would be that. But like, I've watched quite a bit of like Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Carolinas, Mid Atlantic, WCW. What else have I watched? I've watched a lot of like the old WWF house shows that are available through the network. And then most of the other stuff I've kind of like read about or watched like off and on. Smoky Mountain, ECW. I don't know if you count ECW as a territory though.
And Bobby Fulton.
But Mid-South is probably my favorite, I think.
Rogers and Fulton, of course, evoke an excellent fan response everywhere they go. These guys are the kind of guys that you love to point to as an example because they really put out when they are around the wrestling gang. Man, they are energetic, and for whatever...
The guy's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, man, you guys are my girlfriend's favorite wrestler. She's like, oh, really, man? Why don't you drop her off backstage, man? We'll give her a tour. She can meet some of the guys.
Discrepancy there may be in size with a lot of opponents. They more than make up with that wrestling ability and their energy that they bring to the ring. Tommy Rogers, followed by...
I can't believe people are holding up, like, toddlers to be kissed. Can you imagine if like the Undertaker was kissing people's children in the audience?
Bobby Fulton, fantastic. They've had quite a record going in here. Sheepherders have found that out.
Yes, they have.
They can beat them, but they showed them that.
Sheepherders have found that size does not always count, as you pointed out earlier.
That's good news for Hurricane Paro. Size doesn't always count.
Okay, the Fantastics, and coming out their opponents in there. You look like Ric Flair? Well, I'm really sorry I can't see it, though.
Well, let me tell you, this morning I came to TV and a lot of people come up and ask me for my autograph, you know, and I signed my name, Tony Faulk, and they got mad and wanted to beat me up.
I cannot imagine that.
Boy ain't won a match since he's been here, right?
That's right.
And if he's in a tag team situation and the team wins, that means his record's broken, right?
That will certainly be his
Tony Faulk is getting his first. He might not win the match, but he's going to be on the winning team to do it today.
I hear it. Dutch Mantel and Tony Faulk, who has his winless record intact coming into this match, Dave.
Does indeed. Hasn't won one yet. We'll see what happens here in the tag.
Memphis is the one you're most familiar with? Well, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. That's why I'm watching. I'm just trying to like get a little bit of the lore. It's kind of hard though because there's like huge chunks of like either footage missing or hard to track down complete versions of, but I definitely want to learn more about it.
Team match that's one fall, 15-minute time limit. Introducing at a total of 455 pounds from St. Louis, Missouri, Tony Faulk, and his partner from Oil Trough, Texas, Dutch Mantel. Going against him, a total of 449 pounds from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, the Fantastics. One fall, 15-minute time limit. Jerry Calhoun will be the referee.
Dutchman starting on this side of the ring. On the far side, the Fantastics have yet to indicate who it'll be. And now Bobby Fulton looks like he's going to be starting out. Bell time, and here we go. Do you think he looks like Ric Flair? I don't see where he gets that.
You like mostly like Japanese wrestling, Agram? Like, says I watch a lot of Crockett, WCW, NWA, yeah.
Both have blonde hair. It's about it.
I kind of always knew what was going on in WCW just because it would be in like PWI and stuff like that, but I didn't actually get to see much of the footage until I think a neighbor of ours got one of like the big satellite dishes where you could pick up like, at the time it was a big deal. You could pick up like a satellite feed from the other side of the country that you couldn't get any other way. And so there was a way to get like to get TBS back then. So I got to see some, but not a lot.
Bobby Fulton taking advantage of Mantel. He put him in a head scissors. Mantel didn't stay there long, though. He's back on his feet. The rugged one, Dirty Dutch Mantel, out of Oil Trough, Texas.
He is so hairy, it looks like just a complete solid blanket on his back.
Mantel had the headlock. Fulton using the ropes, but a shoulder by Mantel puts Fulton down on the mat. Nice move by Bobby Fulton. Mantel. I don't know if Mantel has wrestled against the Fantastics or not, but you know he's seen them in action around the area.
Dutch has been having some health problems lately in real life. I know his podcast has been down for a little while, and they posted, I think, that he was out of the hospital, but that still wasn't feeling like, you know, strong enough to return to the podcast.
The crowd came alive with the Fantastics out here today. Boy, they love these two young fellas.
Here comes Tony Faulk. His first appearance in this match, greeted with a boot to the midsection, and now Fulton off the rope with a nice backdrop over to the corner. Tags Tommy Rogers. Drop kick he hit him with, and Tony Faulk
sitting here looking at Tony's head.
I would love to do, I definitely at some point want to sit down and watch championship wrestling from Florida, like as much of it as I can find anyway. I have sat down and done like entire, like what's available from some territories. Like I watched every Smoky Mountain. I would do that with Florida, I think. I think there's enough like interesting characters and a rotation of talent, and like the storylines and feuds are what I would really be interested in from there.
Did you see it snap when that top leg, and Tommy will get you that way. He catches you one leg right up in the head and the other leg right in the chest. A beautiful drop kick that Rogers knows how to execute.
Tommy asking for the crowd support, and he gets it instantly. Against the taller Tony Faulk.
Yeah, I think James said that Dutch he didn't want to go into detail about it, but he said that for sure that he had pneumonia, which when you're older, you know, if you have any kind of breathing issues already, like that's a pretty severe thing. Like it's much more severe than it sounds, but it sounded like he was kind of back, but still needed a little bit of time to get back to like 100%.
Mighty unhappy at his no victory record while he's been around here.
Tell you, the way things have been going for him with Rogers, he better get over there and tag Mantel if he's going to get a chance for any part of his first victory here. Rogers been hanging on to him pretty good.
Faulk trying to use
a young Barry Horowitz.
The ropes here. Tommy slipped around behind him.
I saw they're making like there's like a grassroots push for WWE to induct Barry Horowitz into the Hall of Fame. I don't know how, like, if it's a serious thing or if it's just like kind of a meme or whatever, but I saw that the petition had a bunch of signatures at one point a few months ago.
Picks him up, and Tony Faulk body slam. Tagged by the Fantastics.
Mantel doing his part. He's standing ready. He's got that arm out there if Faulk will ever get close enough to it. He's hollering at him, but he's off his feet, and Fulton snaps him back over and down. There's the tag, and here comes the Dutchman, Bobby Fulton.
If they ever get like a physical Hall of Fame, I feel like they can address stuff like that. People like that probably wouldn't be in a normal Hall of Fame situation. Like, I don't think Barry Horowitz would qualify in pretty much any way. And yet it's like he's still a memorable persona from like a really memorable, nostalgic time for a lot of people. But if they had like a physical Hall of Fame, they could just have like a room, or, you know, they could show a movie every once in a while that was just about all of the like kind of recognizable enhancement guys. So that it's not about like recognizing them per se individually, but like recognizing that these guys do have a valuable place in this business, and like what they did matter, you know, what they did mattered in the story. You know, this is how people get over. So like you could recognize just enhancement talent in general and highlight like a big rotation of people in the video or whatever. And that way you honor them without having to like induct a bunch of like, you know, jobbers into the Hall of Fame.
Going against the veteran from Oil Trough, Texas, the Dirty Dutchman. Tag on Tommy.
The Norman Smiley power slam. Did he do the butt wiggle though? What was it called? Was it the worm? The big worm or something? The big wiggle. Was it, the big wiggle.
Rogers round behind, and as Bobby Fulton released Dutch Mantel.
My favorite jobber ever is Iron Mike Sharp, I think.
Fulton, or rather, Tommy Rogers grabbed him from behind and took him right back into the action there. Oh, look out. Dutch hit him with a right fist there.
Got that.
I felt like Mike Sharp was like a big, tough-looking, burly guy, and that like he was willing to cheat if he had to. So I felt like even in like a match that I kind of knew deep down he wasn't going to win, I kind of always thought there was a chance, just because he seemed like such a tough guy, that if he could get a hold of like a mistake, or if he could like sneak something in the referee, he might have that like chance to win.
Glove on too, Dave. I've always been a little suspect of that glove that Dutch wears.
Here's Faulk back in. Tommy Rogers. Tommy had both fists doubled. The referee stepped in between them and says, "Come on, Tommy, keep the fist open."
Dutch, when he tagged to Faulk, he said, "Okay, you come in here and pin him," and I don't think he is too happy about the way things turned around so quick with Rogers taking advantage of.
That would have been his dad. I think he was a second-generation wrestler.
Faulk, center of the ring.
I think Dutch thought he had him set up, and all Faulk had to do was pin him, but didn't work out that way.
Quick leg scissors, down he goes. Tag on Bobby Fulton. And over the top and down, Bobby Fulton. Got that arm barred backward, but as Faulk gets up, he rotates it through, takes the pressure off, misses the clothesline, takes another drop kick from Fulton. Fact of the matter is that the Fantastics are just too quick for Tony Faulk, Dave.
They are. They've got
SD Jones, Rene Goulet, lots of guys who weren't really jobbers. They won dark matches all the time. Yeah, if you go back and watch, like, I love the old, like, Madison Square Garden or Boston Garden, and there was, like, a couple other, the Nassau Coliseum. There were, like, a northeast set of, like, places WWF would do house shows at. And if you go back and watch them from the 70s and the 80s, it's really interesting because you're right. There are guys who always lost on television, but on the house shows, they're kind of only beating each other, but it's clear there's a hierarchy amongst the enhancement talent. So like they would get like a series of wins, and then at the end of the month they would put over somebody, you know, who is also like working their way up. But yeah, they still had value because people were still seeing them win.
The balance, they're set. Faulk, when he goes at him, he is not really prepared to take advantage of the situation. Shoulders down, but the left shoulder now up off the mat. The referee did start the count at 1, but he had to stop it at that point. Tommy Rogers hanging on to that left arm. There's hair pulling by Faulk. Use the fist. Reverse whip into the ropes by Tommy Rogers. He stayed with him. Tony Faulk back on his feet. Rogers in the air. Body slams him. Now Faulk goes over to the corner and tags Dutch Mantel. Rogers blocked that right hand. Bobby Fulton backed into the ropes by Mantel. Mantel fighting across the way. Caught him with a knee. Got him in the midsection coming off the ropes. Drops with the elbow, and Dutch Mantel.
Did you see that? Dutch Mantel started to tag Faulk. He said, no, I don't want to do that.
I didn't get to see him at the time because it was in a different region, but the Mulkeys were really over. Like they almost always lost, like 99.9% of the time. But they did get like one win against this like pair of like masked people that had never been there before. But they hyped them up like, oh, this is this enormously successful tag team from overseas that we've spent a bunch of money to bring in, you know, to entertain people. And they're going to come out and like crush the, crush the Mulkeys. And then the Mulkeys won, and like the place just like the people exploded. I think they got to go into the Crockett Cup that year, which was really interesting. But they're another like big famous jobber kind of person.
He just kept right on, Fulton.
Thought better of it.
Yes, Mulkey Mania. Is Maven a jobber? Yeah, I would say so. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he did get an Intercontinental title run, didn't he? Maybe. I think that would, well, I don't know. He had his like jobber moment though when he eliminated the Undertaker from the Royal Rumble. So they pushed him pretty hard, I guess. I don't know. To me, he's a jobber. He's the equivalent of a jobber in his era. That guy was never going to be the guy, never going to be a top drawing guy, but he might have gotten some like wins here or there till his push ran out. I think he's more relevant because of his podcast than he ever was for his wrestling. Just I'm not knocking him. That's just how I feel. I think he's more famous now than he's ever been.
He, again, thought he had Rogers set up earlier for a pin, and Faulk let him get away from him.
Al Snow in WWF for sure, yeah. Yeah, Maven won or did he win the first one, or did he win the $1 million? No, Pewter won the $1 million one, yeah. So Maven won the first one, yeah. It's just hard to say because in that era, they didn't really have, like, squash matches that often.
Oh, snap. Mantel tells Faulk, that's how you do it. Count is 1, 2. That's not quite how you do it. You got to hold him for a 3 count.
And it's weird, too, because some of the guys that seemed like jobbers to me in my mind are actually really talented wrestlers, like Savio Vega. He was never really like a threat to win any big matches in WWF, but he was like an insanely good wrestler. That's the one that pops into my head right away. I was trying to think of who else I kind of saw as jobbers from back then, like the Truth Commission. You remember them? I never imagined they would ever win anything.
Faulk comes in. He's using the fist liberally here.
Oh, yeah, the New Rockers, Leaf Cassidy.
There's a clothesline. He did.
See, and I love squash matches. I don't need every match to have stakes. I like the mental, like, chill of just seeing, like, a match that's just a match. So I miss squash matches, and like it just felt like there was more build. Like when you saw something that was like when you finally got to that match that they'd been building to for 4 weeks, like it really mattered. Like it was you were ready to see the match. Like I just think that the build up matters, and like in the storytelling.
Missed that time. There's a cover. One. Down to one is all he got.
What was his other gimmick? Avatar, was that it? The like weird Mortal Kombat looking character that Al Snow played? I think it was Avatar. Savio Vega had a great brawl a few months ago in IWA. Yeah, I think he's like a really good wrestler. I don't know if that's why they trusted, like why they gave him, why WWF kind of used him in that enhancement way, is because they knew he could make anybody look good, which is a big compliment. But then you end up being this talented guy that's just putting other people over because you happen to be good enough to make them, you know, marketable in your match, I guess. Does that make sense? Or am I like, I might be reaching my high limit.
Reverse neck.
I could be getting conspiratorial.
Neckbreaker. Good one looked like by Faulk. This could be it. 1, 2, no. Fulton kicks out at the 2 count. Close. Knee lift and a nice one coming off the ropes. Faulk hits the mat. Bobby still hasn't made the tag. Now he gets it. Rogers comes in with the drop kicks flying. He goes after Faulk. Now Mantel. Back to Faulk. Rogers. Whoa! Mantel pulls the ropes down, and Rogers just drops to the mat. Mantel yanks him out of the ring. Meanwhile, referee keeping his eye on Faulk and Fulton in the ring. Mantel with a chair. Look out, Tommy. From behind, Rick Casey smashes.
And then Dutch on his podcast will be like, no, I don't understand why these fellas got to bring a chair out all the time. We never brought chairs out, James. We wouldn't do it. It was only on a very special occasion we'd hit somebody with a chair. Nowadays, you just see it on a regular TV episode.
There's Mantel with that cowbell. Mantel is left.
Whoa.
Fantastics roll Faulk down. Count is 2.
Did you see that reaction? Holy cow.
3. Bobby Fulton, Tommy Rogers, the Fantastics pin Tony Faulk, and Faulk still has not won a match.
The streak continues as Rick Casey came in when Dutch was getting ready to waylay Tommy Rogers with that chair. Casey came in with that cowbell, wrapped him good and hard, and Dutch took off. Dutch is carrying about 6 or 8 stitches or better under his eye where Rick Casey opened it up with that cowbell. So the winner.
Gross. Who wants to be hugging these sweaty, almost naked guys?
Again, the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. Timeout, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Memphis would have some great brawls. Of course they did. But you know how some of the old timers are. In their mind, every time they did something, it was like justified. But nowadays, it's not. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are like really jaded about modern wrestling and like act as if that kind of stuff was very rare. And I don't think it was at all.
Exciting action, a one-night tournament for the Southern Tag Team titles coming up Wednesday night in Evan.
Jim Cornette does the same thing. Bitches about flippy moves, but once managed Too Cold Scorpio. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think that's why I take everything Cornette says with like a grain of salt, but he's really entertaining to listen to. But they all pretty much do it. It's like whatever era kind of you were most personally into something is probably always going to be the best era of it for you. So it's easy to like have rose-colored glasses or whatever.
Evansville, you will see Dirty Rhodes and Tojo Yamamoto against Landell and Pat Rose. Sheepherders against Coco Ware and Rick Casey. Travis and Smothers against the Blade Runners. And Bill Dundee and Dutch Mantel against...
Oh, yeah, he loves Tiger Mask. I remember all the shoot interviews, him talking about all the tape trading him and Weasel Dooley used to do to get the Tiger Mask tapes.
The Fantastics, 2 second round, and the finals coming up Wednesday night in Evansville.
Right, you look at the champions. Get out of here, boy. Old Dutchman, take your head off with that whip. Dutch, come on over here, brother. We got to show
Before we get
respect.
started, let's have 10 seconds of silence for the departed king.
Just imagine this guy.
Jerry Lawler. That's enough. Let's talk.
No.
Bill Dundee, he's beaten up cheeks all over the Memphis area on a scale that's unprecedented since Elvis Presley. It's just so bizarre to me that out of all the performers on the roster that like it's Bill Dundee. And it always comes up. Anytime a wrestler's in a shoot interview and they ask him about Bill Dundee, like that's the first thing they talk about. It just cracks me up.
All right, so back to square one. Didn't we tell y'all it was going to be like this? It's back.
There's probably like all these like Bill Dundee kids that don't even know.
The square one, international title holder, Southern title holder, and we're going to be the Southern tag team title holders. That's how it all started, Dutchman. Then the king, he wanted to lose a leaf tam match, and
didn't Luth? Yes, Luthez hate Harley Race. I think I've heard multiple people tell the stories about that it was taking the business in the wrong direction. You think Corny's always in kayfabe? You can't believe anything he says is his real feelings? I think it's a little bit of both. I think you can tell when he's kind of being emotional about something, but I think also it's a lot of it is marketing, and just I don't even think that part's arguable because the show's built around advertisers and selling the merchandise. I think the podcast is basically just one long commercial for, I mean, you get really great information, especially about the old school wrestling stuff, and you get the modern reviews. But I think the point of all of it is the advertising and the, like all the shit you can buy on, what's it, Cornette's Collectibles, like the $250 whatever Midnight Express action figures.
he's gone. Bye-bye, Jack. Hit the road, Daddy. Now, Fantastics, all them little girls are going to be...
What Ric Flair what wrestling needs is a good Ric Flair helicopter dick spin. More dicks in professional wrestling. Remember when Jake Roberts was at that one Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, and it was like this family, they were saying like, we're family friendly, you know, we're all your old favorites that you can trust and bring the whole family out. And then Jake Roberts took his dick out in the ring.
Be screaming and they're going to be hollering, oh, they're pretty. Then they're going to be hollering, please, Dutch, please, Bill, don't hit him no more. Don't bloody them up no more. Just pin him because we don't want you to kill him. But we're going to pin you, Daddy, because we're going to win the Southern Tag Team title match, right?
Now, we're going to go back to where it all started, and Jerry Lawler and Austin Idol were the Southern Tag Team champions. But, hey, Lawler's gone, so that means it's vacant.
Well, and even looking at, like, Smoky Mountain, which I think is one of my favorite, like, territory, like, how the storylines in it are some of my favorites. But it's all a bunch of stuff a lot of the time that he complains about now. And I think he would kind of justify it like one of the reasons maybe he's harsher is because he was backed by a millionaire, but he was backed by a millionaire that expected it to be run as like a business. So he had to make some compromises. Like Rick Rubin wanted to see a mummy wrestle, and that's like the last thing Jim Cornette would want to see. But he had to do it because Rick Rubin, the music producer, was paying for Smoky Mountain. So it's like when you watch Smoky Mountain Wrestling, here's this mummy. It's the goofiest, phoniest stuff ever, and Cornette would absolutely melt down about it if it were somebody else's. But like he just had to do it because that's the nature of the business at the time. But like he doesn't seem to give other people that same, the same grace when it comes to doing goofy stuff.
And now it's wide open. It's open season on the Southern Tag Team belts, and we're going to get them back like it all started out in the beginning. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I like to hear the old stuff. I love Guess the Program. I like it when he talks about modern wrestler, or I like it when he talks about what old school wrestlers are doing modern, like when he clowns on Chris Jericho or Hogan or Flair. But I don't really like the wrestling reviews because, I mean, who gives a shit?
Some people running scared around Evansville because they said, if we split up, Mantel and Dundee, we might be able to handle them. But, hey, we're back together again. We're an awesome team because underneath this hat and underneath this...
Smoky Mountain Wrestling, though, is so wild. Like, there's a guy who's just named Dirty White Boy. He just takes a gun out sometimes. Then he's got, like, the Dirty White Girl. There's a character that's like just a Confederate, like basically like a tribute to the Confederacy. Can't remember what his name is. Dixie Dynamite. There's a Nazi character. There are like communist characters. It's like all that over the top stuff that I think Cornette would think was cheesy if it was in anybody else's company. But since, you know, Rick Rubin was paying the bills, like I guess he got what he wanted. But I'm not complaining because it's all really entertaining to watch.
This hair right here.
And Jake Roberts wins the Smoky Mountain heavyweight title and then refuses to lose it. So they have to like work around Jake Roberts' addiction problems again.
Brilliant wrestling minds. We know what we're doing. And Casey saying, boy, I'll do anything just not getting back in a match with Dutch Mantel. Coco Ware said the same thing. And Fantastics, if you got guts enough, just show up because we're going to take you out. 1, 2, 3, baby. And we're going to nip it right in the bud before it gets started. Y'all want to be potential superstars? Well, baby, this is the only superstar right here. And I'm the international heavyweight champion. And we're going to be the Southern Tag Team champion by the time Evansville is over.
So that's when all we're going to tell the folks is you're looking at some of the contestants. Whoever wins.
New Jack was there too. Yes. In fact, New Jack cuts one of my all-time favorite promos in Smoky Mountain, where during the time where O.J. Simpson was in the news for being accused of murder, New Jack went on in front of a Tennessee crowd as like kind of a black supremacist gimmick with his partner, and gave a shout out on regional television and said, shout out to O.J. Simpson, keep up the good work, 2 down. And like, it's the craziest promo, but it's so good. And like, he delivers it so well with like such just disdain for the crowd. And the crowd is like this, exactly what you would think a 1994 Smoky Mountain wrestling crowd would look like, and they're just so enraged by this guy. It's a fantastic promo.
Wins the rest of that. You're looking at two of them. It's going to be in the finals of that, and you're looking at the champions, the Dutchman and the Superstar.
Bill Dundee defeats Jerry Lawler, and Lawler is gone. Here he comes, Superstar Bill Dundee.
You know what I like about Smoky Mountain that I thought I would hate originally was their TV title thing. Like pretty much the only incentive for it was that the wrestler got a fake bonus, right? But if they made it 5 matches, then you were kind of like, that really meant something. If you could defend the belt 5 times in a row, you didn't get anything. There wasn't even a belt. But like, if you could defend that spot 5 weeks in a row, then like you were done and you could return to your storyline or whatever. But you could step down like undefeated in that. And I just like it shouldn't have really meant that much because it's kind of cheesy when you think about it. But like as a fan watching it, it was really effective. A way of making me care about just like opening and mid-card matches that otherwise I might not have.
You got the finest friends in the wrestling business. Look at on this.
Yes, they did have the disclaimer up, yeah.
Complete with cakes, little champagne, noisemakers, everybody's celebrating.
I'll tell you what it says, Lance Russell. We're going to have a little party. Look at this wine. It says signature private wine. Budro, you know all about that. You open it up. Buddy Wayne, you're in charge of people.
Well, Buddy Landell's got the champagne.
I can just tell you this.
Hey, listen, I've invited all me friends down here in their Speedos and the Unitards. We're going to have a party.
Jerry Lawler's out there flogging his life story, Jack. Well, let me tell you something, Lawler. You ain't going to flog this one, Daddy, because this is the only tape like it. Me beating you, and I'm going to play it every night and show it to all my friends, right? So we having us a little party. Southern title. And another thing, Steve Kern's out here. This is a challenge to me. Well, I may not want to wrestle you, Jack. I may not want to wrestle peons. You're looking at the king of the hill. And when you got guys like the Nature Boy standing beside you, and you...
maybe some. I don't know that it could be like a recurring thing because I don't know how much of it like chronologically exists complete, but I think there's at least a couple seasons on DVD or something. I've always been confused by TV titles, like other than being a mid-title, what are you a champ of? Yeah, that's it, the champion of the TV show. Yep. That's what I mean. Like, normally I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, oh, okay, this is the belt that this guy gets to keep until he's ready for the Intercontinental or the United States belt. But that weirdly, just winning 5 matches in a row should mean less than a belt. But like mentally for me, like, I guess it's because it was more about just like being able to do it. There wasn't a storyline. There wasn't like a belt or whatever. Like the people who would even win 5 times in a row didn't necessarily get a push after that. Like it wasn't like a Royal Rumble thing where if you win the Royal Rumble, you know you're gonna get a big push. Like that didn't happen. Like sometimes they would win 5 in a row and then lose the next week.
You got the Blade Runners and Tony Faulk and
You like how they're all in wrestling gear? Yeah, look at Buddy Landell. Looks absolutely ridiculous. And then like Sting and the Warrior with all that makeup on.
Mantel and Hog Job Buddy Wayne. You don't need nobody on your side, Daddy, because you're looking at the best, Lance, and you can come to our party. What you right there?
Bill Dundee, and I don't blame him for being jubilant, regardless of what you may think. He accomplished something a lot of people thought was impossible.
I'm happy today, Lance, because finally after 10 or 12 long years, Jerry Lawler is not showing his stinking face on this TV. And it is an accomplishment for Bill Dundee to be able to take him out, and my hat's off to him. I talked to him for 6 or 7 months about how to do it. He listened, and now he was man enough to go out there and take the battle to Lawler.
Well, yeah, if you're putting the belt on people like Tully and Arn, like they're going to carry heavy prestige. Maybe that's the idea. You put it on somebody that can give it a little bit of a shine and then have them pass it on. And then just after, if the belt starts to dip in prestige or whatever, put it back to somebody else. I kind of always thought, and I know it's like a cliche, but I always kind of thought the Intercontinental title had like kind of an aura to it as being like the belt that like had the world title had the best story matches, but the Intercontinental title usually had like the best actual wrestling.
And take him down.
Yep, well, he did do that. He took it. He's got the Southern Heavyweight belt.
Now, see, we fought for it'll be a manhood right here, baby. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Little toast time.
And I hope you sell a lot of them tapes, Lawler, so you don't starve to death. And I also hope you got to drive all over the country like I did. To you, Jack, hit the road, Jack.
I don't even care about Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the belt anymore. I want Roman Reigns to say that he will wrestle him, but he doesn't want the belt. He wants to shave Cody Rhodes' wife's head.
Little toast from the superstar to the absent king. Of course, Dundee is out here living it up, and as I said, I can't blame you. You accomplished something that nobody has ever been able to do.
Let me ask you something. There's very few men can set a dream in their life and never accomplish it. Well, you're looking at one that did. It took 10 years, Lawler. Will you quit for a minute, please, Dutch? It took 10 years, Lawler, to run you out of this stinking area, but I did it, and I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to win the world's title.
Well, you hear another statement coming from the Southern Heavyweight title holder, Bill Dundee, declaring he will win the World Heavyweight title.
Ric Flair may be the world's champion. I may be the super champion and the living.
Is that I want to say that can't be Paul Bearer, right? Over here, Percy Pringle, whatever he went by. It looks vaguely like him, but then I'm like, no, there were a lot of managers around this time that kind of looked similar to that.
Legend, but there ain't nobody eats cake like Buddy Wayne. Zoom in on this boy. Get a picture.
Yeah, that's not him.
Budrow pouring it away. He's cutting off a piece. I'm sure that's for the rest of the folks. He's going to take the one that's left there.
Now, I got to go wrestle.
Yeah, I wouldn't have too much of all of this right here.
I dare you to break a sweat out there. I double dog dare you to break a sweat, brother. Waste that geek. Come on,
Oh, man, Buddy Landell is so cool. That was so cheesy. Hey, man, don't even worry about it, brother. Just get out there and kill that geek.
In the ring right now, Jerry Garment.
Nobody touched that tape, brother. That's me killing Lawler.
Okay, Bill Dundee heading to the ring. Dave, we're ready for.
Looks like a fat William Regal. Wow.
For the action as the party goes on.
It is going to be an expiration of time match. Expiration of time for this one, a single match. Introducing from Mississippi at 211 pounds, Jerry Garman. And
I mean, it's whatever. I'm not judging the guy. I'm not knocking him, but it's insane to me that with the roster that they have, that we just saw, with the other talent we've all seen, I get that it's because Bill Dundee is over for whatever reason. I'm not knocking that. But it just seems, it's almost silly sometimes. Like, he's so much smaller than some of the other guys.
going against him from Australia at 214 pounds, the superstar Bill Dundee. This match to the expiration
Like, why does he have his shirt on, and then he also has his shirt tucked into his tights?
of time. Jerry Calhoun is the referee. All right.
I thought maybe Oliver Humperdinck too, Mike, but I think he might be a little too old to be Humperdinck, but I could be wrong.
I tell you what.
It could also be because my mind doesn't want to accept an image of Oliver Humperdinck without the beard and the sequined jacket.
How would you like to be Jerry Garman right now, having to face the man who just beat a legend?
Yeah, Dundee is certainly pumped up, no question about that. Boy. He slapped Garman right off his feet as he wheels him across the ring, and Dundee blasts him with that clothesline and down.
I guess as a heel, like that would get him heat, right? Because he's a little guy, but he talks all this trash. But then if you're a little guy and you talk trash and you back it up, then that's, the fans, that'll make them hate you, because there's nothing they hate worse than a bad guy who can actually back up his threats.
Down goes Jerry Garman.
Dundee picking him up.
Listen to these like completely cannabis-based theories I'm coming up with.
Hammered him right back down.
Garman trying to fire back, and he got one shot at him at the midsection, no effect. Dundee just higher than a kite. He is really carrying it too, Garman, as he whips Jerry across.
Higher than a kite.
The ring. There's a power slam. Took him with that momentum right off the ropes, and it didn't take him very long either, as Bill Dundee is the one.
Come on, ref, do your job. Get him out of there.
He is in 58 seconds. 58 the total time. He looks like he's not through yet. Match is over. Look out, here comes Big Red Reese up into the ring.
Big Red, how long has it been since we've seen him?
Okay, I'm on board. I don't care if this is a good guy or a bad guy. Whoever this is, I am 100% on their side.
Man, he is 400 pounds of awesome. Look at this. Dundee over the shoulder. The Holy Ghost. Nope. Thought he was going to give him that big splash in there.
Like, do I know this? Who is this person? I don't know. I feel like maybe I should know who this is, because I feel like I would know. This is such a wild character. It looks like a pastor on like a rampage.
Big Red coming to the defense of Jerry Garman, who lost the bout. Headbutts Dundee, and Dundee's celebration short-circuited by a very large gentleman, Big Red Reese. Look at him with Mantel interfering in. Dundee whipped right into Mantel, and look out for Big Red. Blasted him in the corner.
I don't know who Big Red Reese is, but I'm a fan.
Dundee, Mantel hit the floor as Big Red came in to keep Dundee from doing any more punishment to Jerry Garman after he'd already gotten the pin. So
this guy's great. Oh yeah, I mean, I get it. I know why, like, rationally, but like, again, that's kind of speaks to why he's so good in the role, that like, if I let myself like mark out, I'm like, come on, man, you should be able to crush this little guy. And that's like part of why it works, because you feel like they should be able to, but they can't. Like, he always figures some way to be like one step ahead.
So the winner of the official match is Dundee, but Big Red.
I'm just a hater. I'm a Bill Dundee hater. I'm the guy in the crowd that would take the signs for that are like calling for his for him to be fired.
Red came out the class of that last little informal excursion.
Sure did.
Timeout, back in a moment.
Man, where's my action figure of this guy? Big Red Reese.
And I'm going to beat you right here today.
Well,
come
there
on.
you hear Tony.
Tony Faulk, sit down.
Faulk, that's a little dangerous, Dave, when you open it up and say, I don't care who's back there. Anybody come roaring out. But Tony.
Okay, so Tony Faulk's still on his losing streak, and now he's elevating to being an open challenge. Anybody in the locker room.
Faulk is getting a little desperate now. I see you're going up to the ring, and you're waiting on a challenger, just anybody. He's going to try to not keep his record.
He did kind of look like Drewski. I really liked how he came in. I loved his look. He kind of looked like a gangster or a pastor.
Intact, I guess we could put it that way.
Yeah, he wants to break the record here. Record of, I don't know how many matches it is, but he hasn't won one.
They let him actually, like, be a big guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Vince kind of never... he used Andre right, but I think that's because his dad used Andre right. So his dad had been booking Andre for all those years. So Vince Jr., like, benefited from all that work his dad put in protecting Andre. When he got Big Show, like, he didn't protect him at all, I didn't feel like. He never had that mystique that Andre had. Like, I feel like Memphis gets how to use, like, big guys. Like, we talked about it with how Vince made Kamala like a goofy comic character, but here he was like an actual, like, you know, dangerous villain that you could beat pretty much anybody.
Yeah. Hey, he may not break it this time. Here comes Rick Casey.
Jerry Alton Reese retired in 1991 to become a preacher, died in 2001. Wow, man, he's been gone a long time. Rest in peace, Big Red Reese.
Got that right. Coming out. The tough man from Texas, yeah.
Lance Russell out here, Tony Faulk out here blowing his mouth
Oh, boy, I tell you, it couldn't get any worse.
off. You know, I'll take his challenge. I just got out of the shower and I'm in my street clothes. But wrestling's what I do for a living, so I'll take his challenge.
Why don't you go? Don't you have something to do at home or some errands to run or something, bro? We don't need to see another match.
Here's a guy that can do it, too. Rick Casey answering the challenge of Tony Faulk. Heads to the ring, and it's bell time. So, we're going to find out if Tony Faulk can break that string of his. I would say that this is not exactly the guy I would have picked to try to break it against, Dave.
No, well, he asked for it when he said we issued the open challenge.
Now this guy looks like Bart Gunn.
He said, anybody back there in the dressing room who wants a match, come on out here and I'm going to beat him right here today and get my first victory in this area. Rick Casey answered the call. As he said, that's what he does for a living. He's going to go in there and take the match.
He's a telephone operator professionally. He answers the call.
Fist to the midsection, and there was some hair pulling before that by Tony Faulk. Reversal by Casey puts him in the ropes. Tony Faulk finds himself.
Okay, so he's getting a little bit even more animated. He's like clapping at random times, which is what weird shit baby faces do.
Flying through the air. That's where he was most of the time in the earlier match that he lost. As he pointed out, though, he was part of a tag team. He and Dutch Mantel.
A little better than 2 minutes.
Abdullah, the same thing. He wasn't the guy you'd put a title on. He'd just go from territory to territory to make. Yeah. See. We don't have that anymore. The closest thing you have to it is like something like Brock Lesnar, I guess. But is it really special when Brock Lesnar comes back when you know, like, his exact contract details? Like, it could be years between Abdullah visiting a territory because he'd be, you know, constantly booked in Japan. Like, it's just neat to think that people were able to make a living, like, set to what they could do best. And for Abdullah, that would be come in, have a few lead-up matches, you know, terrify the crowd, and then have, like, a, you know, schmaz finish with their big baby face, and then leave. Like, people can't really do that anymore.
Minutes that we've got time-wise, and Tony Faulk backs Casey up into the corner and swinging away.
Although, I guess you could count like the AEW New Japan stuff. And then now WWE is doing like some crossover, like Joe Hendry's in WWE and NXT now, but that's not really the same thing.
At him, he's going with desperation now, plants a thumb in his throat, and that may get him nothing but grief. It's not helping Casey out any. If Casey, tough son of a gun, takes a heavy elbow, down on the mat he goes.
Jim Cornette always made that kind of a point about Sid, Sid Vicious or Sid Justice or Psycho Sid, was that like he could draw a bunch of money over a very short amount of time. But like once you've seen him and you've seen what he can do, most people don't want to see him anymore. Like they need a break from him or whatever. So like he can make a bunch of money on one night, but a guy like Arn Anderson can draw money. He can't draw that much in a night, but he can draw you like consistent money for decades if you book him correctly. So like maybe that's why like, although with Sid, I guess softball kind of pulled him away every once in a while, but I don't know. You can't really be an attraction anymore because it's such a like corporate business now.
Faulk has at times shows some ability to wrestle, and then every now and then he'll make a mistake. Count of one. Oh boy, what an upset that would have been. As we're talking about how that was not the guy that he had the chance to beat. He was about to prove us wrong, still trying.
I think Tony made one of those mistakes right there. He took a little time to celebrate before he pinned him for the 3 count. Oh.
His death is sad anyway, but it's especially sad because I think he had just had an interview done like where he was talking about how kind of the one thing he wished he could get wrapped up was he wanted to really be in the Hall of Fame, and then he died like right after that. That's why Andre went from place to place. Once you've seen him. Yeah, exactly. Like there's not room for that anymore, I don't feel like, in the business. Like there's just not enough places to go and not enough time. You can't go somewhere for like 6 months anymore and be off the radar of the place you just left. Like everybody sees everything now. So it's really like you're not getting a break because people are still seeing you. They're just seeing you in a different company.
Oh, Casey, 1, 2, Tony Faulk.
Another Cornette saying, I can't miss you if you're not gone.
What a beautiful move. Did you see Faulk getting ready to take him on the hip toss, and Casey just flew?
You think Vince Jr. is the first guy to keep him around permanently? I think the way that worked, I've read a book about it, and then I saw the HBO documentary, but just from that and the shoot interviews, it seems like Andre was actually fully employed by Vince's dad. Like he was a full-time employee. So Vince's dad, the booking office for WWF was the booking office for Andre. So even they knew that even though they had him under contract to make sure that he was there for the dates they needed first and foremost, that they would send him out to these other places, and Vince's dad would actually use it to like leverage to get the people that he wanted. Like, oh, if you don't want to send me this person for these dates, that's okay. I'll send Andre somewhere else for a week. You know what I mean? So I think they had control over where he went, but they had to be smart about it because they knew that he wouldn't draw week after week for, years there. So they needed him other places. And then they could also like turn that into an additional benefit by, milking whoever they were sending Andre to for like extra shit.
Through, bulldogged him right in the midair and took him right down to the mat, and that is that for Tony Faulk. He comes up with a record still intact of having not won a match. And how long did it take, Casey?
Took him 1:45 seconds, 1:45 for Tony Faulk to lose.
So I think Andre was more of like a Vince Sr. guy. But Vince Jr. obviously loved him, I think, if just from a business standpoint. Because he set up everything his dad invested into Andre over those years and years of protecting him and, making sure nothing, controlling even how he was presented on TV. All of that clout or that capital that built up was used on Vince's guy, which was Hulk Hogan, which is the guy that his dad did not want, right? So that's kind of interesting that all that work his dad put in ended up being channeled into Hogan, which is what let him go national, which was, again, what his dad did not want him to do.
Lose that one.
Well, there again is another situation where Tony made a mistake. He was not ready for a move like that. I got to admit that there wouldn't be too many people who would be ready, because Casey just almost seemed to change direction right in midair, hooked him with that bulldog while he was right up in the air, catapulting off that rope.
I wish Casey would change direction when he first comes into the building.
Came right down and got that 1-2-3. Good win for Rick Casey over a dejected Tony Faulk, and he will continue to seek that first win. Dave? Boy, I was impressed. Listen, before you get to the recap, and is there any way, can we get a re-roll, okay, on the Rick Casey move? Let's watch this. Boy, into the ropes. Watch the slingshot effect. He goes underneath the arm, trying to clothesline me, and in midair, look at that. Boy, he fired up, hooked that head, bulldogged him right down, goes over 1, 2, 3. Faulk giving a kick in between the 2 and 3, but he couldn't shake Casey. Casey had him good.
Vern Gagne, remember when he killed that guy in the nursing home? He like killed his roommate. He went like bananas, spurred out and killed his roommate.
Not much defense for that move, as a matter of fact. Tony Faulk finds him.
Do you know what happened to him? It's really sad. He had like a ton of like beautiful land up in Minnesota, and the government came in and took it, eminent domained it. And like he had built his entire life around the idea that like he was going to retire on that land, and that land would provide like for him and his family for the rest of his life. And then like the government just came in and took all of it. It's like I can't even imagine. And that was after he had a thriving family business taken away because Vince expanded nationally and like cut him out. So I can't even imagine like that double loss like that would be just crushing.
Himself losing again here today, though.
Made too broad a challenge.
Yes,
he
he
should have said, I'll challenge anybody out there who has never wrestled and is under 5 feet.
He might have just said, I'll challenge anyone but Rick Casey and come out better today. Rick Casey won 2 matches. He won that one, and then he won the opening match.
I think it was around the time of the eminent domain case, might have been whenever they finally sold the rights to Vince for all the old AWA footage, and they got a documentary. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I remember that there was a huge eminent domain seizure, and then when he got put in the retirement home, he killed his roommate.
To the day over Benny Traylor. It was Buddy Landell defeating David Haskins. It was the Blade Runners, Steve Borden, Jim Hellwig. Boy, they're a mean bunch these days. They defeated David Johnson and Jim Jamison.
Well, and remember, on top of everything else, right, all this bad stuff that happened to Vern Gagne, he's the guy who prepped Hogan, right? He's the guy that helped Hulk Hogan build the Hulk Hogan character. He even was doing Hulkamania while he was in AWA. So Vern has the guy who's going to kickstart somebody into a lifetime of wealth and power. He's put the work in. Somebody else reaps the benefits, uses the guy that he helped create to shut down his business. Then the government comes in and takes his property. Like, I can't even imagine it. I think most people would just lose it.
In a minute 20 seconds. Then it was the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, as they defeated the team of Dutch Mantel and Tony Faulk. Faulk said that was a tag team defeat there, and that didn't count, so that's the reason he issued that other challenge. Bill Dundee.
2-on-1, by the way.
Yeah, he said it was 2-on-1, yeah. Bill Dundee over Jerry Garman, and then it was Rick Casey defeating Tony Faulk.
Yes, sir, and that's the action of this particular day. By golly, I'll tell you what, we've got some interesting things with Buddy Landell back in the territory. Yeah. Landell looking for a major title, you can bet, and he's going to have challenges out everywhere with Coco, and that won't be the only one, I am sure. Buddy Landell, tough son of a gun. Lots of tough action coming up. We'll have it for you next week, and until we see you at that time, for Dave Brown, Lance Russell saying bye-bye, everybody.
I'm actually a big fan of Nick Bockwinkel, like as a wrestler. Obviously, as a in kayfabe, I can't stand him. But hold on a second. I really like Nick Bockwinkel. I think he's a fun character. Yeah, tons of AWA was big. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. I think I found it.
Yes, here they are. We get our first opportunity to talk to them. The new tag team on the block of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Impressive they are.
So this is right when the OJ story is the front page of every newspaper. He's talking to a rural audience in the Smoky Mountain region who already don't like him, who are very against him, to say the least. And then he cuts this amazing promo in front of a live studio audience, or in front of a live audience. They're not in a studio, I don't think. That promo, that's such a great promo on haters.
Shout out to my homeboy, O.J. Simpson. Keep up the good work, baby. 2 less we got to worry about. You understand? Keep up the...
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This guy cuts a promo in front of a live audience, and it's aired on television during the peak of the OJ trial, and he says, "Keep up the good work." Gangstas. No, that's not. That's Mustafa. What a crazy promo. Like, that is absolutely wild stuff. Like, crazy, but epic. Like, super, super memorable. Wow. What did he say at the beginning? He was like, so many years ago, if we beat up 2 white boys as bad as we beat up those guys last week, we'd have been strung up in the trees. Like, oh my God. That's absolutely, absolutely crazy. All right, well, I'm going to go. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to stream, but I'll stream something. Thanks for hanging out, watching some old school wrestling with me. I appreciate it. And hopefully